second, so people will hear you. So, okie dokie. I'm hoping then. I am very much hoping that people can hear us. I think we are live. I'm just going to wait for confirmation in the chat. She's stuck looking at an ad. Obviously, there's a little bit of a delay. So as soon as people start just confirming volume's okay, people can hear us and whatnot, we'll crack on with it, basically.
Awesome stuff, man. Awesome stuff.
Just wait. How's it looking now? Well, good. I'm getting the thumbs up from the lady across. Can you hear Pearce okay? Pearce, say something. Say something.
Hello, I'm pleasure to be here.
Just give it a second because obviously there's a little bit of a delay. Yeah, volume good, yeah? Both that's sweet. Okay. Evening everybody. Hello and welcome to another live stream from the Disgustingly Resilient podcast. Hopefully my voice is a little bit clearer. I heard that you guys were having some audio issues, some of yous. So we used the money from the members and whatnot, and super chats and whatnot. Everyone that showed support, and I've invested in a new microphone. So they're just saying you're a little bit loud, so I'm just gonna get you. That's alright. I can turn you down from here, so don't worry, bud. You don't have to do anything.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, I'll try not. It's the Irishness in me, you know. We're shouty people.
That's no problem, man. Again, if guys, you just keep us updated if the volume. I've turned him down now. If he needs turning back up or anything like that, do let me know. So I will. We'll go from there. I'm gonna half you for now.
Awesome. Yeah. If there's any issues with the volume of my voice, yeah, just feel free to adjust it because, as I said, we are shouty people in Ireland.
Shouty people, shouty and rowdy.
yes. You get two Irishmen in a room, and then the whole room is suddenly you can't hear anything else.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, welcome everybody. Obviously, we're going to be making a Death Guard tier list. We're going to actually name the tiers first, a bit of fun, so people in the chat can join in. Feel free to contribute with your opinions and whatnot. Obviously, this is all subjective. This is more of a silly, light-hearted stream. If I put your favorite unit in like mid-tier or B-tier, don't take that as your unit's shit and unplayable. The only true unit that's shit and unplayable will become clear soon, and we all know by the title probably what that is. So yeah, just a quick update, sort of on the channel side, just before we crack on. We do now have a Discord server. It's currently members only. So if you do wish to become a member, you can hit the join button below. It's just sort of while we're still working in like a beta phase. So obviously I've never set up a Discord server before, all the bots and whatnot. So I'm getting the hang of it, but there's a few things that we're still sort of trying to tweak and find out. But if you want to join that, if you become a member, it's in the community page. The link's right there. You can click it and you can join it straight away. Obviously, the support you guys give me just enables me to keep doing these things and keep making content. I know the Perfect Plague 4 series seemed to go down pretty well. So I'm happy about that. I'm excited to carry that on. And there'll be another episode going up with the fellow that's joined me tonight. And who is this Irish fellow? Do you want to introduce yourself, bud?
Hi, folks. I am Pearce. I live in Ireland. I play for Team Ireland at the WTC. And I've been playing Warhammer for I think 17 years on and off. I quit for a little bit during 7th edition when the game was really, really like ridiculously crazy. And then I came back at 8th and I've been playing since. I've been playing Death Guard and all sorts of things, Chaos mainly since I've come back. And I just love Warhammer. I don't know what it is about Death Guard, but they just have some sort of appeal to me, you know, with their slow movement, their Nurglings everywhere, and cool characters.
like an illness, once it gets into you, it's hard to get rid of.
Yes, absolutely.
So Pearce has an interview with me that's going up hopefully over the next few days for you to listen to. He managed to get a nice result. Do you want to say your result at the LGT, mister?
Yeah, I managed to finish 94th overall. I went 4-1. My only loss to the event was to Aiden Brocklehurst, who came 8th overall with Dark Angels. It was a really great game. Lost it by 3 points in the end because he played around one of my fixed secondaries really well. It was a really intelligent move on his part, but it was a fantastic game. So I don't feel too bad losing to a guy who made top 8.
No, definitely not. And the interesting thing and the reason you might want to listen to that interview when it does come out is because Pearce is a Plague Marine fanatic like the rest of you. He ran his what was it called again? Your designated specialty.
The Pod Squad. It was a teammate of mine, Chris, on Team Ireland, came up with the nickname because they plod across the table at you, and it's sort of stuck since. And it is the Plod Squad. Morty and 40 is the other nickname been given
Morty
to it.
and
The
40.
Plod Squad. Yeah, exactly. But the Plod Squad is near and dear to my heart.
That's cool. So yeah, so if you are a more Plague Marine fanatic of a person, you enjoy Plague Marines, you like Rhinos, you like that Plague Marine Rhino Rush sort of play style, or just including those lovely models, definitely check out that interview. He's managed to convince me to sort of now give the Plague Marine list a run. It's very, very cool breakdown of how that list plays. It's very different to how my list plays, so that's really cool. So just that everyone seems to be happy in the chat. Howdy, sorry I didn't manage to catch you at LGT. I had a terrible run and went 1-4. Don't worry about it, mate. We all have terrible runs. Honestly, the more events you go to, the more you sort of realize sometimes it's not even just yourself. Sometimes you just can get bad matchups. Like I had someone go in his 4th round. He was 1-2. And then he paired into Tau, and then you have me on 2-1 who paired into like Inquisition. Like it can happen. You can run into Metalist at the bottom. It's really weird. So don't beat yourself up about your result. I just hope you enjoyed your event and still managed to have a fun time. Hopefully.
Yeah, it's a numbers game in my view with events. Like I've gone to events. Like I consider myself a competitive player, but I've gone to events and gone like 1-4 in the past, and it's sometimes you just hit all the bad matchups at the wrong time. Sometimes your head is just not in the game. I wouldn't dwell too much on one, unfortunate result. Ultimately, the main thing is you're having fun at an event, right? That's why we all do these things. We go to these events to have fun.
Yeah, so that's why we always call them like events rather than tournaments, because it's
exactly.
It's 5 games over 2 days, and you have a bit of fun with it no matter what. Hopefully, you had some nice opponents, and hopefully they give you a bit of a laugh. So obviously, feel free to sort of like leave any questions in chat. We will interact with you as much as possible. It's quite possible. But yeah, we're going to start off these tiers. So the first thing we have to do to make a tier list, however, is name our tiers, because S through A to D is kind of boring. So what should we have as our ultimate tier? What do you reckon? So we got any suggestions in the chat? What do you reckon we should call it, Pearce?
So before I went on to this, my friend said he would be insulted if S tier was not described as filth. Because like broken filth, but we're Death Guard, so I think filth has to be the S tier.
Okay, so we'll call it absolute filth. Okay.
Absolute filth, yes.
So
yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit because we don't need to see everything else. Hopefully, that's a bit better. Hopefully, that's a bit easier for stream to see. Hopefully. Okay, so we've got absolute filth. Anyone got a suggestion for our A tier category? Because if that's absolute filth. We need a sort of cherry aid. Okay, I'm gonna put slash cherry aid tier because the cherry aid is strong in that tier.
Is that sort of like your spinach drink at an event? Is it you
yeah,
take it like
so
Popeye? And...
I went the GT I went to where I went 5-0 before the balance update. Basically, I went to the bar and I was like, "Oh, can I have a Coke, please?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, no problem." And I saw you had like a pint of like this red liquid, and I was like, "What's that, bud?" Thinking it was like, cider or something like that. And he was like, "Oh, it's cherry aid." I was like, "You have cherry aid?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I want some cherry aid." He's like, "But I've already paid for the Coke." I was like, "All right, if you take the Coke back, can I come back later for this Coke and have a cherry aid now?" And he was like, "Yeah, go on then." So he basically gave me this cherry aid, and then the cherry aid was that good. I'm pretty sure it wasn't my skill that carried the day. It was the cherry aid. And now it's become like a symbol. Like one of the fellas at LG2 from the Nurgle's Mansion Discord actually came up to me on round 1 with a can of ice cold cherry aid and was like, "There you go." So it's become like a staple, like ongoing joke within like the community of cherry aid is the real nectar of the gods.
Yeah, and us 40k players were obviously a superstitious lot of times, so that's like that's part of your ritual now in a tournament. You have to have your cherry aid, otherwise you don't feel comfortable.
Yeah. Oh, no worries, Bob. Well, good to see you in chat very briefly, bud. Bob's one member of the French WTC team and someone I talk to quite a lot. So it's good to see you in the chat, bud. Okay, so we're gonna call it solidly stinky. There you go.
Solidly stinky.
Solidly stinky. It's like good solid unit. You're always happy to have him. So now we've got a B tier. So we need like an average. So like what's like an average stinkiness? Like I don't know. What can we have?
Pungent.
Yeah. Pungent.
Yeah.
We'll put nicely pungent.
Yeah.
I don't know why
I'm
that's
gonna
gone
look
to the
up
side, but we'll go.
air freshener brands for the D tier.
Like literal Febreze. I don't know why it's
Yeah.
gone wrong on where that's typing, but there you go. Nice. There you go. It's fine. People can read. People have brains. And then we've got Cetus. This is starting to get a bit depressing. So it's more like just a moldy sock on the floor.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna go with a moldy sock. Yeah, someone put sock drawer in chat, so we're gonna go with that. So we've got moldy sock, and then what should we have for our actual clean thing that's gonna make up our D tier? What do you reckon?
I think either Yankee Candle or Febreze.
Okay, we'll go for Yankee Candle too.
Yeah.
That's quite funny because my missus also I'm pretty sure she has a candle fetish, like a scented candle fetish. Because my God, can that girl burn through candles? Okay, so we have here established our tier list. Obviously, for those who don't know what a tier list is, I imagine most of you do, but just in case, we're going to go through it unit by unit. We're going to talk about our thoughts on it, and we're going to hopefully place it somewhere on the tier list. At the end, we might go through again, sort of have another, a rethink of where we place things, because obviously we have too many in a tier. We might need to split it up. But feel free to leave your comments in chat if you believe a unit should be higher, you should believe the unit should be lower. And you can also, I accept bribes, so, if you want to super chat and just make me put somewhere, that also works. Okay, so let's go first one. So Noxious Blightbringer, and as you are the guest today, so I'm going to let you begin this entire charade. So what do you think about the Noxious Blightbringer?
I've wanted to love this character.
He's such a cool model.
It's such a cool model. He had a really cool relic in 9th edition. I think we all have him because he came in like the 8th or 9th edition starter set. Unfortunately, his rules have been consistently garbage in general throughout editions. I would personally have him in the sort of moldy sock tier, I think. Like, he has some cool rules, advance and charge reroll, but you're never going to take him over anything else in your army. He's not quite, I think we know who's going to be in the Yankee Candle tier. He's not quite Yankee Candle. He's moldy sock.
He's moldy sock.
Yeah.
So, Noxious Blightbringer. I think Noxious Blightbringer he has a role, but the role kind of comes into play when you're basically looking to bully a very specific player or a very specific meta. His -2 leadership aura can actually become big in the matchups where, for fuck's sake, someone's just fucking donated Plague Surgeon SC. I will put an extra point on the Plague Surgeon's analysis for that one.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for the support and the donation, bud. So I think Noxious Blightbringer has a spot if you're against like a friend who like you're just playing at a local club and he's consistently bringing like Necrons who really don't want to get battle shocked so they can't reanimate with stratagems. I think this guy has a really niche ability to basically just go in there and just ruin someone's day. But I think if you bring in this guy, like maybe if you were like in a teams format and Necrons were really pissing your team off, you could consider bringing this dude along. I mean, is there any other army out there, bud, that you think maybe Battleshock is genuinely an important thing to use against?
I guess the only thing, the synergy I can really think of is using our Plague Burst Crawlers, right? Because a lot of the time, he's going to have to survive through the enemy's turn or whatnot. He's going to move close and he's going to have to survive to the following turn to use his Battle Shock. I mean, Gene Stealer Cult, maybe, if you have like lots of mortars firing at units and...
it does stop him going back into the shadows.
It does. What else has really crappy leadership?
I've always felt like this guy's just lacked an extra rule. Like, the reroll advance and charges is nice, but it's not really like... Yeah, Custodes is a good one to be able to shut down fight first.
Yeah, I really liked him in 9th edition when he had the bonus to movement. I think if they had given him that again, I'd be maybe a bit more interested now that our Terminators have gotten slower.
If they made the Contagion range ability as well, so you can get your Terminators back up to like a 6-inch move. Imagine it was like +2 move in a Contagion. Ooh.
That would be, I think that would be a really good use of him. As for now, the whole reroll advance and charge thing, it's not really that useful on a squad of Plague Marines. I do like that idea that if he had a buff in, like, key off the Contagion ranges, right? Like, like our Lord does, buff it with Contagion range. His bell gets louder and louder.
Bong.
Yeah. The bells, the
the
bells.
bells. Peter Fairbrother, thank you very much for the £5 donation, bud. Please can you put all the demon engines into S tier as I'm testing a demon engine list and it need convincing it'll work. To be honest, I don't think you're going to have to actually convince me to put them up there. There's only one I think that I might not put up there, but the other two are probably solidly going up there, I won't lie. Would he be good against the CSM? Okay, that's a fair point. If you have a player that is CSM in your group that's really pissing you off, and you want to make them fail every single dart pack to make them kill themselves, that's actually kind of funny. So I would actually consider that in that one. So you know what? I honestly think we've covered enough positives here to make him. Can we add? Can we add tiers? I want to add a tier. We can actually.
Are you thinking nice and pungent is where he's sort of earned his place?
I don't think I'm gonna make him a special tier. I'm gonna make a special tier. Oh, I gotta change the color of it, otherwise people will be angry. What color should we make him? You can be pink. 'Cause it's gonna be very special. This tier. This is gonna be. I hate specific matchups.
Yeah.
This is the tier. This is the tier.
The Miss Taylor category.
Yeah, this is my friend's playing CSM and I'm very sick of it. I'm going to bring 3 of these and make sure he kills himself every single game. So you know what? Valid point, people in the chat. I appreciate that. I think without the weird techie pieces though, and if you go into like a singles event where you're going to face a multitude of armies, I do think he falls into moldy sock tier, unfortunately though. But if you really hate specific people, friends, because in Britain we do this thing where the more you like someone, the worse you actually generally tend to treat them, especially in
we do the same in Ireland.
Yeah. I have a mate who I always go to events with called Ben, and we know like some people, if they play club mates, and they're like scoring, they'll be like, okay, I'm gonna win this. We know I'm gonna win this, so I'll just let you score this, this, and this. And we realized like turn 3 he was gonna win a game, but he took Long War. This is back in last edition, where basically it was the equivalent of Storm Hostile Objective now, so he has to take objectives off me. So I just walked my entire army off objectives, so he could never score it. I was like, I'm going down. Fuck you too. Would he be good if he gave Plague Marines advance and charge? I mean, yeah, that would be really good.
Oh man, I don't think we know what to do with that mobility if we were that fast, right?
Oh mate, if we got that would make us insane. I'd love it, but yeah. Okay, so we'll go to the next one. So then now we have the Mathetic Blight Hauler. What do you think about this guy? Because this guy is an odd one.
Yeah, so I've always wanted to like this guy. I've said against a lot of Death Guard units generally. I want to like him, but he just doesn't feel like he fills a really weird niche between the Blight Drone and the Plague Burst Crawler. You kind of prefer to have the other one, if you get me. You prefer to have a Plague Burst Crawler or a Blight Drone over him. The +1 to wound is really nice. I think the lack of consistency and the volume of shooting is what puts me off him.
Yeah, I think honestly, if he could have +1 to hit and wound versus vehicles, I'd like that. But like only also some point on his range with it, and that's not a him problem. That's a I don't know why we made multi-melter so bad problem. Because again, it's +1 to wound's great, but it's not great when you're wounding most vehicles naturally on 5s. It's kind of just dropping you to a 50-50 chance, which is it's okay. But man, I find it hard to love it. It's like you said, I think points-wise, he is still cheap, but now because bloat drones are exactly the same price, I do find it actually quite hard to want to take him. Again, it's 100 points for a fairly tough unit, which is quite nice, but again, I'd rather just have 3 bloat drones. Do you see any sort of matchup where you would consider some of these? If you did take them, would you be looking at taking them in large packs, or would you be considering it more as a single? Someone in chat said he's cute. Yeah, that gives him. Okay, I'll give you that one. He's kind of cute. Oh yeah.
If we're rating on cuteness, we need to do like a cuteness scale maybe of Death Guard, just for cuteness after the tier list is done. Yeah, I think if you're playing into like a vehicle heavy meta, perhaps then it's worth it, because like anti-tank is generally hard to come by in the game at the moment. So if you're playing to lots of like knights, perhaps you want to look at big packs of these, because then you got lots of melta if the knights get close to you. You're fairly durable. And it's a really weird mix and match on his weapons, to be honest, as someone should point out in chat with the range. But he also has a crack missile launcher, which is like a 48-inch range going. So he kind of does he want to sit back and shoot, or does he want to go forward and shoot meltas at people? Right, like it doesn't really synergize very well. I think big packs if you're going to take them.
If he had like a weapon option where he could like swap out the missile launcher for like a plague spitter, that could be cool because then that incentivizes that getting up close. Cause like a multi-melt or a plague spitter, that's quite a cool little thing. But it's just like especially like when someone said like melters on brigands are like strength 12, like he's like strength 9, and he also doesn't have +1 to wound versus monsters, which is super annoying. Like he should be +1 to wound. Basically big targets, which should be monsters and vehicles, but you run into nids, he just doesn't have a rule. It's like great.
Yeah.
Whereas the bloat drones and the playbus crawlers, well, playbus crawlers don't always have a rule, but they're to me, playbus crawlers' rule is indirect. But bloat drones, they always have their things usable. Is he? Do we think he's nice and pungent, or do we think he is moldy sock? Because value-wise, he's still only 100 points. I don't know if that saves him from moldy sock tier.
I think nice and pungent, in my view, is going to be units that like are not bad, but they're not great. Like there's other things you take over them. I don't think he's bad. I think there are just things you take that are better than him. So I would put him in nice and pungent, but it's a tenuous hold he has on that category.
Yeah, he's probably going to be on like the bottom of nice and pungent. Like again, I wouldn't. If someone was like, "Hey, Aiden, I really like this model and I really want to use it," I don't think you're hurting yourself by taking them necessarily. But I also don't think you're doing the best you could for your list, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you're looking to push the echelons of like the upper echelons of competitive play, I'd say leave him at home. But like if you're looking to like do decently well at tournaments, you're fine to bring him along. I don't think there's anything that's stopping you bringing him and doing well with him.
Yeah. Some of the sound issues fixed by putting the headset mic down, or is it? So we're not actually using the headset microphone at all at the moment. I've got I'm trying to like a big doodad, so I'm just sort of getting used to. I need to keep reminding myself to sort of like face my head towards it as I speak. This is the first time I'm been using this thing, so I am a little bit new to it all, so do bear with me. But this was, again, thank you very much to my members and my donators, which managed to allow me to get this piece of tech. It's very cool, but I'm still a bit of a noob. It only arrived like an hour before this, so my missus was frantically building it. Not because I can't build it, I could build it, but it was my turn to take the dog for his evening walk, so don't be out there being like, oh, he has to get his missus to build his tech. But yeah, I think we're right. I think we're gonna put him in nice and pungent for now. I think he just escapes moldy sock tier because there's other things on here that are worse than them, which saves them from moldy sock tier, I think. Okay.
And I think, as someone pointed out in chat, that he gets points for being cute. That does put him into nice and pungent there.
To be fair, because some of these models on here ain't so cute.
Yes, they have faces only mothers can love.
Oh, this next one's going to be a point of contention. Blightlord Terminators.
Oh.
This is an interesting one. Does his missus
How do you
build
feel
his
about
models
Blightlords?
too? Fuck you. I build hers. Yeah, smoke and -1 ballistic is pretty good for them as well. I will give it that. Yeah, I think they're, again, nice and pungent. It's probably where they do belong. Blightlord Terminators, though, they're an interesting one because a lot of people say Blightlords are just bad because they're not Death Shroud, which I think is a bit unfair of a comparison. I don't think they're bad. I think they're kind of in the position that Blighthauler finds himself, but I have been noticing a lot of people actually taking full bricks of these guys and imagine to do pretty well in events. What do you think on these fellas?
Yeah, I think before the balance or the points changes, they weren't really a contention, but they are now. For 5 guys, it's 165 points, which is generally quite cheap, and they have a little bit of decent shooting output. Like they could take a Plague Spitter, they could take a Reaper Autocannon just for a little bit of volume of fire. I don't think they're bad. Like they're quite durable as well. 2-up save, 4-up invuln. You'd have to rapid ingress them if you're taking them, but like there is for 40 points more than 3 Death Shroud, you get an extra 6 wounds, and they're very good at just gumming up parts of the table and just kind of being hard to dislodge. So I think they're a perfectly fine unit. I don't necessarily think they're something you're going to be defaulting to a lot of the time. I've not played against any of the big bricks, nor have I tried it. so I don't really know how that unit plays as a big brick. I'd be a bit cautious in a world of like Night Spinners that the big brick just gets tagged and it's like,
Yeah,
well,
man, yeah, we've all felt that at some point or
yeah,
another.
yeah. It's the classic problem of moving 4 or 5 inches a turn, right? Is you get tagged and then it's like, oh well, I guess I'm not going anywhere unless my dad helps me walk towards the objective, right?
Yeah, I think there has been a lot of thing about Lord of Contagions possibly being pretty good with them to help the damage output because they do actually have a decent amount. I think it's 4 attacks each, strength 5, strength 6, strength 5. I can't remember. AP 2, 1 damage. So giving them 4-year-olds to hit, you can just basically fish for lethal hits on the flails and the biotic weapons, and with the -1 save contagion. If you've taken that one, they can actually start to hurt quite a bit more than they did before. Again, like you said, I think the balance update was quite kind to them, especially with how cheap they are as well. I do agree with what Troll and I just put in the chat. I think these guys, if they made them OC2 and Death Shroud OC1, it would give them a massive purpose as sort of like a defensive Terminator compared to Death Shroud, which are like your offensive Terminator. I think that'd be a really cool buff to make them have an identity separate to Death Shroud. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I do. I like that suggestion. That would be kind of give them a bit of a line breaker role.
Because
Or
they did
objective
have the
brawler.
same problem in the previous edition until they got OBSEC and then they actually became good. So again, if you give them OC2, it's like pseudo OBSEC in this edition. So that could actually be really cool. But again, I do think they are cheap enough. They're like some of the cheapest Terminators in the game, and it's still a decent stat line. I think the problem is when you're against stuff like Deathwing Knights and things like that. That kind of job of being like a tough anchor is done by other armies for potentially cheap, like Lichguard bricks, like that Deathwing Knight bricks, and they don't have the output like a Death Shroud brick does, or like an Aggressor Bomb or something like that. But again, I don't think they're awful. People have been doing results with them, and I think this one actually might come down to sort of like your playstyle. Like me and you might not be a fan of sort of 10-man bricks of Terminators, but other people really rely on that and really like play around it. So maybe that's the issue we have with it. I'm not too sure, to be honest. Any closing thoughts on these fellas?
I had a real soft spot for these guys in ninth edition. I did run the brick of 10 in ninth edition with Typhus usually backing them up. So to me, I'm like, I really want them to be good. I think a squad of 5, even like I can understand a squad of 10 being kind of useful. A squad of 5, even just rapid ingressing in, could be very annoying for the opponent to deal with. They've got a nice volume of attacks to clear, chaffy sort of infantry. The one thing I kind of don't like about them is their special rule is basically, in my view, kind of non-existent because you don't really have a problem killing things in short range with Death Guard. I know they get their reroll wound rolls of 1 against the closest target. You don't really have a problem killing that generally when you're Death Guard because we're quite good in melee. So their special rule doesn't really come into effect, especially it's kind of counter synergistic with lethal hits as well. You're auto wounding, so you don't really need a reroll once to wound a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I think another problem, like you said, is because he wants you to target the closest unit as well with the real ones to wound. Chances are the closest unit's also the one you want to charge. So killing them is, going to put you further away in your charge rolls. It's like
yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's a bit grim. Some people saying I like them because my meta seems to put a lot of fire into them, lets the rest of my army do things. Another fella saying squad of 10 with a Termi Sorcerer Lord, giving them that -1 damage is a thick brick. Plus you can give them Cloud of Flies. It is true. They can definitely stick around for quite some time. They're quite hard to remove, but I do think there is also some armies that can genuinely remove them. Like unfortunately, Eldar Wraithguard brick can probably just dev wound this thing off the planet. And that's not really a slight on the Blightlords, to be honest. That's more of a should Wraithguard be doing this?
Yeah.
But yeah,
if that's our tier list, what can deal with Wraithguard? That's gonna be very short tier list. Everything's gonna be Yankee Candle.
Okay, so here's the question though: are these guys nice and pungent, or do you reckon these guys can be solidly stinky?
I would put them towards the top of nice and pungent. They are better than the Blight Hauler, I think.
I think they're much better than the Blight Hauler. I think if nice and pungent gets filled up, these guys could potentially sneak into solidly stinky. But again, me and Pearce haven't really played with these too much ourselves, especially the 10-man bricks. Forge Fiends, for example. Forge Fiends getting but 2 shots extra on a brick of 10 of these. Flat 3 damage. Yeah, that's going to pick these guys up real quick. So that's another downside to these guys, especially with how popular CSM are at the moment. But again, I think they might have been playing 5-man squads, like you said, they're cheap enough that they could go and bully like battle line units off stuff. But I reckon for now, nice and pungent for now. I reckon that's a good spot.
I like the idea someone put out in chat as well with the Termi source and the -1 damage. I hadn't actually thought of that in terms of if there's a more melee focus in the game, like with the World Eaters maybe being more popular in CSM Chosen Bricks, that could be a cool little combo to try more of.
Yeah, that'd be quite nice because again, they're still relatively cheap compared to something like Death Shroud, and they can
Yeah, absolutely.
10 mans obviously get a lot more strat efficiency than a 6-man. So the next up we have $2 what two oh my god, words. €2, not dollars, euros, 49 donation. Do they get buckets? Who wants the buckets?
So Peter is a mate of mine. He also plays Death Guard in real life. He's trying to get my attention here, is what he's trying to do.
well, Pierce, do they get buckets?
They do indeed get buckets, but they're not quite as good at getting buckets as some of the other things on this tier list. So
I'm not even gonna try and ask you to explain that. I like the actual code wordness of it. So for those who are listening, they do get buckets.
I will explain briefly, right? So when I started getting into competitive play, Peter was a long-time veteran in the scene at the time, and they took me away to one of my first real competitive events. And to train me up, they gave me this big, long speech about getting buckets in basketball and like forgetting the fundamentals of basketball to learn the fundamentals. And it made me the player I am today. So getting buckets is an important aspect of being a 40k player.
Just gotta get them buckets, man. Just make sure
you gotta get them buckets.
All right, thank you very much for the donation, bud. And yes, they do get them buckets. So Foul Blightspawn. This is our next fella. So the second variant we're looking at. So this guy, obviously, I was gonna say he's took a fall from grace, but I mean he's still not bad. But I mean we all remember the ferryman stench pass. But I still think this guy is a very solid unit, especially at the cheaper points now. Is he 50 points, this fella?
Yeah, he's 50 points now. Very cheap.
Yeah, because 50 points basically is for what he is. Obviously, he has fights first if he joins a squad, which is incredibly powerful in the melee matchups. And I've seen many people also just running this guy, not even attached to a squad, just because he has a really decent flamer. Nice Overwatch. Can firing points on Rhinos make it really good. I've seen these guys popping up just as like 50-point flamers that can also do actions and whatnot. What do you think about them, bud?
Yeah, I agree. I kind of use him in the way you're describing him there. And he's just a very flexible unit. The fact that you can join him when you're fighting melee matchups, so he gives your squad fight first, as you say. He is a unit, as we established, will get buckets for you. So he's definitely one to have. I think in most lists, it depends on how heavy your meta is on melee. Whether you want to run like more than one or two. For me, he's like solidly stinky. Be one of the definite units I would always kind of look at when I'm building a death card list.
Yeah, I think especially if you're running any amount of Plague Marines as well, it becomes and like I said, I've seen people taking him with no Plague Marines and still taking this dude, and still like a Sam Boardman, who I've pinned his comment in the chat, because Sam also went 4-1 at LGT. I know him personally, we've had a couple of chats and whatnot. He's the other half of the interview that we have with you, Pierce, that Will's done.
Yeah.
And he yesterday when I put up this stream and like scheduled it, he put a comment saying, "I'm telling you now, I'm winning an event with a Plague Surgeon in a list." So I've pinned that comment.
Sam, I wish you the best of luck.
I need to make him a bet. So Sam, if you manage to do that, I will take. I mean, to be fair, I've already got a challenge set where if we hit 3,000 subscribers, the YouTube members are going to write me a list that I have to take to an event, and I guarantee you there's going to be 3 Plague Surgeons in that list. So
yeah.
There you go. Sam's there. 2 in a Rhino done. There he's in the chat. Welcome, Sam.
3 Plague Surgeons, but no squads for them to join with, right?
Just got to use his melee beat sticks. So, yeah. I agree. I think this guy is solidly stinky. I don't think you have to talk about him too much. He also has the grenade keyword as well, which is just really nice to have.
Does the Plague Surgeon have the grenade keyword? We can't be giving you too powerful of a list now when you hit 3k subs.
Let me get my phone. I'm pretty sure he doesn't, because
no,
this guy has nothing going. Nope.
It's not in line with his Hippocratic oath he took when he became a Plague Surgeon, right?
To protect and serve, not
yeah.
to stand around and do jack shit. That's his real oath. Just hide the surgeon backfield. No. If he runs this surgeon, Peter, he has to be putting him at the front lines every single game. And if he doesn't at least kill a single model, he fails. Okay, he has to claim at least one kill on his plague surgeon every game. But yeah, I mean, if you guys want to join in on punishing me, again, it's one of the benefits being a member. If we hit 3K subs, you guys will literally get to write me a list, and I am forced to go to a minimum 3-round event with that list, no matter how bad it is. It can have miasmic malignifiers, it can have allies, it can have plague surgeons, it can have whatever you want. So that will be funny. So
you are really a glutton for punishment if you're going to take the bong with you to a tournament.
Just show up with like triple bong, triple plague save, and they're just like, "What's going on?" It's like, "Yeah, just you wait, but just you." He's got some secret tech.
Yeah. You got to big up yourself. You know, you go to the table, you got to be like, "Oh yeah, I do a podcast for Death Guard." They're gonna be like, "Oh my god, what have I overlooked about this secret tech list?"
That'd be amazing. So the next unit we're going to look at is the Fetid Bloatdrone. Talk about a unit that kind of went from 0 to hero. 135 points for this guy, and without the extra contagions, he was a little overcosted in my opinion. I still don't think he was bad because he's got a decent stat profile, but 135 was a lot. But now at 100 points, I thought he'd go down to like 120. Never mind down to 100, but he's down to 100. He has the extra contagions, which he's really good at spreading. Obviously has his rule to fall back, shoot, charge, action, all sorts of thing. I genuinely think all 3 loadouts of this guy have a spot. I think these things are brilliant. You go ahead on this one as well, mate.
I wholeheartedly agree with you there. I think this guy is like, I agree. Like, I don't understand why he went from 130 to 100. He was already like, as it overcosted, but like 120, 115 with like a fair margin for him with fly. His rule is great, fall back and shoot and charge. Like that's a really rare rule in 10th edition now. A lot of armies, like, unless you're Eldar, of course, Eldar have everything. But that's a really rare rule in general in an army with limited mobility, like Death Guard having fly, fall back and shoot and charge. Like that's really powerful mobility to have. And like you can put the anti-infantry 2+ flamers on him. The flesh mower is great with the -1 save contagion, and then or just some heavy fire support with the blight launcher. You know, like just a great unit all around.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we have to even think this guy is like literally absolute filth. This thing is so good. It's so versatile. I you know, two at least in every list I've been making at the moment. I don't think you have to take him. I don't think there's anything that's like a must take in Death Guard, but every time you put a Bloatdrone in your list just got better, like straight up.
Yeah, agreed. I put him like kind of towards the bottom. It depends how many we get in absolute filth or cherry aid.
True, yeah.
I put him towards the bottom of that because there's going to be a unit I think deserves to be at the top of that category.
Yeah, true. The only negative is the shitty fly in 10th. That is very true, Trollonidas. Fly, unfortunately, is a bit shitty in 10th, but everything with fly is shitty, so it's not his fault.
Yeah, and we're Death Guard, man. Like a 6-inch move to us is like might as well be like, you know, Usain Bolt or a marathon sprinter. So like if we have a guy with 10-inch move, that's like, holy crap! Hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. We're going in orbit here.
Typhus is on the list. He's just hidden behind my ugly mush in the corner, so he is there. Don't worry. We'll get into him. Okay, so next up then, Biologus Putrefier. I think this guy is better than the Foul Blightspawn personally. He just makes the damage of his squad he's joined to just skyrocket. He has 3 grenades. He gives them the assault keyword. I think he gives them the pistol keyword because it's an injector pistol.
Yeah, he has the pistol keyword.
And he also has like a flat 2 damage throwing, like shooting attack as well, which is really nice. But mainly like just, man, lethal hits on 5s, which then can also, you know, for 1 CP get sustained hits on 5s. Can you get better value to add to a squad? Like, I don't think any of the other characters you can add to a squad give this much value.
No, in my view, he is literally the best unit in our book. That the only reason I do not run 3 is I only own 2 in real life. So I think he
just
is
got
like
my second one.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, I think we'd all, if you have 3 of this guy, run 3 of them. He is just so good, as you say. He got so much synergy with the book. He has advanced assault grenades, so like he can, you know, if it's in a squad, you can advance and still be eligible to shoot. So you can action. You can throw grenades still. Like, I mean, the 4 grenade turn with Death Guard is such a threat for killing things like the Yinkarn. You know, a regular Plague Marine squad goes up, chucks grenade at the Yinkarn. The rest of the Putrefiers then all run up and chuck grenades at the Yinkarn, because you could do a strat even though you've already done it with the Plague Marines. So that's 4 chances of, you know, mortals on a Yinkarn that could kill it or kill another big problem unit. He's just amazing, just all around amazing. For 50 points, this guy is a steal.
Yeah, like bear in mind that a certain other character later is 65 points, and this guy's doing all of this for 50 points. It's a no-brainer. Like, honestly, this guy is so powerful to use. He's so much fun. Yeah, this guy's like, yeah, straight up in absolute cherry aid. Like, those are bottles of cherry aid on this guy's back. He's chugging them all day, every day. This guy is goated with the sauce, I believe is what the kids say. This guy is truly one with the cherry aid.
Yeah.
If you're running any amount of play, even a 5-man benefits so much from this guy. But if you've ever connected with a 10-man with this dude attached and then pop sustained hits, you can just like literally delete pretty much anything. He's like, bye bye. So
yeah, I had one game against Space Wolves where he was on the objective with 10 Plague Marines and a foul Blightspawn in the same squad. Space Wolves charged me because he didn't have any other options. So he charged me. I popped the sustain hits one, and then there was no Space Wolves there after they charged me.
Now you see him, now you don't.
Yeah, they just disappeared in a shower of red cherry aid.
Oh. Next up, we have the Power Armor Chaos Lord. Now, to be honest, we can probably do this and this fellow sort of at the same time because they basically have the same special rules. Obviously, they can join different squads and whatnot, so we might put them in different ranks, but we'll talk about it at the same time because they are basically sharing the sort of rules with them. What do you think about Chaos Lords?
I ran one in my LGT list with Living Plague. So the idea was to, buff up his Desiccation Conduit ability, so he's hitting more units and perhaps more frequently. And just generally having a bigger 12-inch contagion range, the latter half of the game is kind of nice for getting like -1 ballistics off. I didn't find him bad. Like, the reroll hits was nice when he joined a bigger squad sometimes, depending on the matchup. But he never really was something where I was like, oh, I'm really glad to have you in the same way like the foul Blightspawn was, or like the oh my god you're amazing way that the Biologus Putrefier was. So for me, he'd be firmly in the sort of nice and pungent category. He's not a bad unit by any stretch. You can definitely do some cool things with them. He's just not something I would say that's like, super nasty on the table.
Yeah, a fella in chat just said he had the Chaos Lord's aura take the last wound off a Hive Tyrant last week. That's pretty epic.
Legend.
And I think the problem I have with this guy, I took this guy to an event as well, and out of like 18 chances I had to roll a 4-up, I think I rolled 1 the entire event. So like you can just get screwed by 4-ups. I am going to sneeze and I'm going to face away because this mic is like super sensitive. So no, it's fading as all sneezes. You feel like you're going and then you don't. He does also give reroll ones to hit to a squad that he joins, which is cute. I don't really think that's anything massive. Like, it's not bad, but I think when you look at the other options that you can attach to squads, I think he's not outdoing the Biologus Putrefiers and whatnot. Now, again, he can be attached with a Biologus Putrefier, but when you have a Biologus Putrefier in there, you're probably killing pretty much everything you touch anyway. So he's just kind of adding damage that's already enough to kill pretty much everything he touches. I think you're right, though. I think both of them have a sort of... They have that weird aura where if you can roll 4-ups and there's a lot of units within range, he can have insane value in a game. Like, if they put like 6 units near the mid board and you pop every single 4-up for like 2 turns in a row, like, that's going to outdamage most other things over like, attrition-wise, value-wise, for the points that you bring. The problem is when you take, and I was saying on an interview I did recently, if you build a competitive list, we put a lot of effort into units and list building to try and minimize variance, and then you're going to take a guy that is literally a 50-50 gamble. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like, he's good for the Votann matchup, I found, because they've got lots of units and a lot of them are 1 wound 5-man, so you get lots of chances.
Yeah.
But he's like 85 points with the Living Plague upgrade, I think, and I consider that in terms of that's a Biologus Putrefier and 3 Nurglings, right? And I think I'd rather have that in my armies. Again, I don't think he's a bad unit. If you like running him, absolutely do run him. He's just not something I would be building a list around.
Yeah, so I think these fellas can both go in nice and pungent. I think do you reckon the power armor or the Terminators better? Obviously, the Terminators has the extra wound, the better save, and the deep strike ability. Where
Ooh,
would
that's
you
a
put
good
them
question.
relevant to each other?
I would put the Chaos Lord, I think, behind the Blight Lords, but ahead of the Blight Hauler.
Yep.
And I would put Termi Lord. The Termi Lord is kind of nice because you could rapid ingress him, but then he's competing, I think, with Typhus for that sort of role. I would put the
Guess
Termi
who
Lord
wins that
behind
one?
the Blight Hauler.
Yeah.
What was that?
I think he said, guess who wins that one out of Typhus and him?
Yeah.
I know
Yes,
which one I'm
exactly.
guessing.
Yeah. So I would say put him behind the Blight Hauler, the Termi Lord. I don't know. Do you agree with that?
I think I agree. I do think the Terminord has the slight advantage of being able to do like lone deep striking because again he's a 40 mil base, but I think if you're doing that, you can also do that with the sorcerer who's cheaper, the Termi sorcerer, and also Typhus can just do it as well. He's just a bit redundant. Again, if you're having success with him, we're not putting him in bad tier. We think he's nice and pungent. He's avoided moldy sock tier, but yeah, it's one of those units. You're gonna love him because you're all a lot of 4-ups and he does things for you, or you're gonna be like me and Pearce where he's just kind of like let us down and we just rather have something else. Up next, Chaos Cultist. So I don't think you run Cultist, do you?
No, I've never run Cultists in my death card. I think they have a scout move, right? Let me just check the app
Yeah,
on
they
my
do have
phone.
a Scout 6. I run these guys a fair bit, to be fair.
And how have you found them when you've used them?
So I quite like Cultist because I'm not running Rhinos and Plague Marines, so it allows me to get something up the field quicker. That can then sit on a point. If you get Scout and you get first turn, it's very nice to get behind an objective, behind a wall, so you don't have to worry about them being shot. But there's basically I'm kind of going off. I still think a unit is good. Because Scout move can be really nice for setting, like, if they go really aggressive and infiltrating unit and you get first turn, you can Scout, move, advance, get a Boil Blight onto it turn 1, which is really nice. I do like Cultists, though. I'm just slightly going off them. Like, before, I would say they were, like, when I was playing them pre-balance update, I'd probably be, like, their absolute filth cherryade, because it was, like, I mean, like, we're talking, like, the best of a pile of dog.
Yeah, and you're looking for cheap units at that point, right? Because we were dying anyway to a lot of matchups, so it's like, well, I'll just take something that's cheap and can get a little bit of movement, then die, right?
Yeah, whereas now, like, I think I still am always going to take a squad because there's things they can do that are just really nice. Like I said, especially if you get that matchup where you get on UKTC where there's 6 objectives and it's the quarter deployment because you can actually infect 2 objectives if you get first turn off the bat, which is really nice.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, so you can do cheeky things like that. So I'd always take one because it's 50 points at the end of the day. And worst case, they can just screen your home field, you know. So I think they're pretty. I don't think they're. I still think they're solidly stinky. I think I'm just looking more at, especially if you're running Plague Marines, because that in Rhinos that's kind of like a forward pressure force already. They kind of do that job for them. Whereas in my list, which doesn't run Plague Marines, doesn't run Rhinos, which is going to be changing soon, they did have a purpose because there was nothing else for them to do, nothing else there to do that. So honestly, I'm personally of the mindset these guys are solidly stinky. I think that if you're not running Plague Marines, these guys are a fantastic unit because they're faster than Poxwalkers. They can get to the mid board. They can make early trades happen, and then you can punish that with like deep strikes and rapid ingresses. But I think if you're running Plague Marines and Rhinos, they're not so much a necessity.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. I haven't really used them, so I don't feel that qualified to, especially since chat is telling, oh wow, a cultist non-believer or cultists are our chat.
Him,
so I don't want to invoke the wrath of the chat room.
Oh, this chat is lethal. Honestly, they insult you all the time. The nastiest bunch you've ever seen. So next up we have the Demon Princes. So we have the Winged Demon Prince and the Standard Demon Prince. So, we might be getting a moldy sock.
I think so. I was kind of looking at the units are coming up, and I'm thinking, yeah, we're due a moldy sock, but I think it's a fitting moldy sock we've landed at.
Yeah. The question is, I think the Foot Prince has his cute 6-up feel no pain aura, which unfortunately doesn't benefit from himself, but it's also a Foot Demon Prince. which is innately just not really what you want.
Yeah.
You know, movement is important, especially when if the aura was a bit more impactful, like 6-up Philippines cute, but it's not going to like save you massively. Especially it's only infantry, so you can't even put it in your vehicles. And he doesn't get it
Yeah,
himself, which is mega annoying.
I think, yeah, exactly. I think you hit the nail on the head there. The crux of the issue for me is that it is infantry only. If it was vehicles as well, I could see a kind of vehicle heavy skew where you take this guy as a sort of and you give him like Living Plague for the bonus contagion range, so he gets more vehicles in his contagion range. But
He's not
I
even good versus he's strength 8, dude.
yeah, and also with the change to dev wounds, our infantry got better, but he actually kind of comparatively got worse because now when a wraith guard unit shoots you, right, like a dev wound will kill a plague marine or it will do a bunch of damage to him.
Yeah.
It no longer spills over, so it's better against bigger targets than it is against like small squads of infantry. Like your unit of 10 cultists will lose a guy to wraith guard, whereas you'll lose like a whole could may potentially lose, the prince with 2 devastating wounds.
Yeah, that's true. So, man, does this guy have anything redeeming for him? Given like, or is he actually a Yankee Candle?
I would put him on the bottom of Moldy Sock, but he is teetering on the edge of Yankee Candle, and he may fall in. He may
I,
fall in.
I think if he's in Moldy Sock, I think the Winged Demon Prince might be even worse. Um,
What's
it
his ability
forces a
again?
battle shock after he charges, and he can have. Is he the one that has devastating wounds on the charge? I think he
It,
does.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of cute, but eh.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I think if the Foot Prince is Moldy Sock, then the Wing Prince is Yankee Candle.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, yeah, I mean, like, what you could rapid ingress it in and then fly on the corner and like the problem that I have is if you wanted a beat stick demon prince, the Chaos Demons one. I was talking to Rocky. Check out his channel, people. He's very good, very new Death Guard player. But it's quite a good, he quite mentioned a good point. He was looking at it. Their Demon Prince has the ability when after it charges, so ours gets devastating wounds on the charge and forces a battle shock test. The Chaos Demons one has the same stat line, but it gets to choose whether it wants sustained hits, lethal hits, or dev wounds on the charge. And once per game, you can add 3 to his attacks. So if you're
Yeah,
actually after a beat stick, it's the exact same stats, has the choice of keyword for your weapon that you want, and once per game can just go up to 9 attacks. Why would you ever take ours?
yeah, and I also like the regular footprints in demons as well because you have that once per game 3-up invuln save when you need it, which is like
Yeah.
a much better durability boost for the same cost. He just doesn't do anything that like he's also very expensive. They're like 200 points for each one.
Yeah, they're mega
That's
expensive.
a big ask. Like you can get a bunch of you get like a PBC and like 3 Nurglings. You can get like a lot. You get 2 drones for 200 points.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather the 2 drones.
Exactly, like the bulk of wounded vehicles on 5s, one has lethal hits, one doesn't. So
Yeah,
I think this guy's firmly Yankee Candle. A question to chat: if you were to call this guy Yankee Candle, what scent would he be? So we're going to our next unit, which is the Death Shroud Terminators. We really have to discuss much on these fellas?
no, they're excellent. They're like you'll hear the interview we did, but I went from having 1 unit to having 2. How many do you run in your list? 2 or 3?
Two units are free. Now, I think you can run them in 6-mans or 3-mans. I'm personally a favourite of the 3-man because I'm not a massive fan of like playing with huge bricks. But 3-man unit, I literally had a game versus Chaos Knights and free Death Shroud and a Lord of Virulence with the -1 save Contagion, and I popped sustained hits. I killed a Night Rampager from full.
Oh,
It's just like, oh, okay, cool.
yeah.
We'll just kill that. And that's without the sprayers, and the sprayers are immensely powerful versus infantry. Fantastic Overwatch. Weapon skill 2, strength 8, AP 2, 2 damage. You can give them all sorts of characters that make them better. Lord of Virulence, giving them full rerolls to wound. Typhus also is fantastic. If you take -1 weapon skill, -1 ballistic skill, which I know you play with a lot more.
Yeah, exactly.
Typhus with
it
them.
depends on the matchup.
it's
Yeah.
it's I don't like this is our hammer in my opinion. Like Plague Marines are hammers too, but these guys have that durability as well. This is your rapid ingress. You rapid ingress this in at the same turn. 2 10-man Plague Marines go in. You're just gonna cause so much damage on that turn.
I think like Mike from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
They're like our Mike basically. They're our fixer. They do the job for us. They're just an excellent unit. Like I think you kind of need these in every list you run with the Deep Strike. They're super versatile.
Yeah.
They're just an excellent unit. Like I can't really say enough good things about them. They just cover all our bases.
Yeah, I think they're fantastic. Yeah, it's so absolute filth. Cherry Aid flows through those flamers. Yeah. In chat we've got some Yankee candles. Aren't all Yankee candles lavender? Unfortunately not. They have many flavors because my girlfriend will not flavors. I know I said flavors, scents. My girlfriend enjoys buying all of them. Imperial codpiece scented. That's nice. Cinnamon. That's a good one. Wet fart with a hint of vanilla. And autumn nature walk scent. It's the same color as Death Guard. Perfect. There we go. Thank you very much, chat, for your beautiful suggestions of what Yankee candle flavor the Winged Demon Prince would be. So yeah, we won't stay too long on Death Shroud. Everyone knows they're amazing. Yeah, Bob, I agree. I actually use them for the flamers a lot more. Mikey's saying he struggles to get mileage out of them. It could be how you using them. I've never found a situation where I've not managed to get value out of them. I think when you use them with like rapid ingress, I'm not sure if you rapid ingress them a lot, but again, it could be a meta thing as well, Mikey. You could be in a meta where every unit does have metas they shine in and metas they don't shine in, so it could be a case of that. Just let us know. Yeah, let us know in the comments what is it you keep finding happening with them. Next up, now this is a strange one, the Defiler. What do you think about the Defiler?
Controversially, I think this is like multi-sock tier. This might maybe I'll upset people in chat by saying that, but I play mainly on WTC terrain, and I find on WTC this unit just has a very hard time moving around the table. It doesn't its base is very kind of constrictive. It only has an 8-inch move, which means it finds a hard time clearing terrain. It gets onto these bases for the runes, so it doesn't have a really great time getting side angles and things. I don't rate it. I'd rather have infantry models. I think we need the mobility of being able to go through walls with stuff at times, to take objective markers off people. We already have units that want to move through the narrow passageways like PBCs, Rhinos and the like, and Mortarion. That I struggle to see a place for this. I'm sure you can do a demon engine skew maybe on player place terrain a bit more, but on the terrain I sort of play on, I don't really see a place for this guy.
Yeah, I think man, Defilers are weird. So Bob is in chat and Bob runs Defilers a lot. So I'm gonna upset him. For me personally, they are moldy sock, but it's not. I don't think it's necessarily a Defiler issue. I think it's a terrain issue because I play UKTC mainly in Zach. We do have 4-inch ruins, but they're like 4.2 inches if they're on plexiglass. Or not plexiglass. They're on like a little base. They have like a base to the model, but the actual ruin is like 4.3. And we asked him because people were assuming they were meant to be 4, in which case Defilers could move over them. However, he's now confirmed no, they are in fact 4.3, which means that they are unusable on UKTC terrain because you can't move them goddamn anywhere. So, I think this is one of the weird ones where Don Houston's going to yell at me. Bob's going to yell at me if I put them in moldy sock tier. I feel like I need to make another tier called I don't want to upset my friends tier.
Well, Bob is already yelling at. He's calling them solidly stinky because crabs are table dependent, but on WTC terrain it's a chariot. I play on WTC a lot, as I said, Bob, but I just do not agree with Defilers being there. I'd be very interested to see one of your games how you use them, because I'm sure you're able to pilot them to great effect. I just think in general they're a very poor unit. I think more on player place they shine a bit more when you can give them space to move. Yeah, so they're moldy sock for me. Personally, I'd put them below the Demon Prince on foot.
Right, okay. Tell you what, Bob, I'm gonna put him down here for now. And people that are Defiler enjoys, if you're pro Defiler, you have 10 minutes to convince me in chat why this Defiler belongs in minimum nice and pungent. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll revisit him in 10 minutes. Hellbrute. Now
remember
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
He does take bribes. Remember, so if you want to see the Defiler go up, yeah.
Yeah, so super chat that Defiler to the top. I also take bribes the other way. If you hate Defiler, Defiler is such a Marmite model. Apparently, people either love this thing or hate it. So if you want to send the Defiler to the nicest of smelling Yankee Candle shops, do you have a shop called Lush in like Ireland and
Yeah, we
America?
do. We do. It's like the soap store. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you walk in, and it's just like flour and like
Yeah.
herbal essence. It's hits you. Yeah, that's where we can send him to. So feel free, chat, to decide his fate. But for now, we'll move on to the Hellbrute. Hellbrute is very interesting because he obviously has the ability now to extend Contagion, which before, to tag something with Contagion at ranged, which before was very. No, I'm not going to say the S word, but it was meh. Giving him -1 toughness isn't very good. Giving them the new Contagions, however, especially the -1 save one, is quite good. However, Hellbrute can be quite squishy, and he's also quite expensive. What do you think about the Hellbrute?
No, I agree. I think the ability to put -1 weapon skill and ballistic skill at range can be very impactful with a lot of these kind of nasty Death Star units running around on the tables as well. It's a solid ability. It's not something where I'm like looking to build a list around loads of them. I would personally rate him sort of in the night. To me, he's kind of like the Blight Hauler. Not a bad unit, just not something I feel is like, like my philosophy with 40k lists is when you're going to a tournament, you want to bring a list that's unfair. Almost that's like, a list has to be unfair, I think, to do really well. Like look at Eldar, look at like GSC before the nerfs. And I don't feel the Hellbrute is an unfair unit. It's sort of just a fair unit, but you don't win 40k with fair lists.
Yeah, that's true. I think he's okay as a one-off tech include. I don't think you want to bring more than one particularly. Some people have had success. Again, if it works for you, it works for you. Like, don't change stuff just because of what we say. This is a personal opinion tier list. I like the ability to also do like 9 mortal wounds potentially on Tank Shock with his cute ability. That's quite fun. It's caught a few people out. But again, I think you are probably correct in that this guy is nice to have, not necessary. Bob's also just give us a €2 donation for the crabs. So I'm going to feel like an auctioneer now. If you want to see this Defiler stay firmly in Moldy Sock tier, it's going to take at least a €3 donation. It's going once, going twice, boys.
This is the most corrupt Death Guard tier list out there.
Oh yeah, this is pure corruption. Like I have no standards. Like everything about my videos is paid for behind the scenes. Like where do you think this microphone came from? This wasn't me. This ensured the Lord of Contagion goes in S tier. That's what that was. So yeah, I think we're gonna put the Hellbrute in. I'm gonna put it nice and pungent. I think I'm gonna put it towards the just above Chaos Lord.
I think Chaos Lord's a good spot for him.
Yeah, I think it's good. You can take one, definitely can do work for you, but there'll also be matchups where you just get shot by a fire prism and explodes instantly. Is the way it goes. No, Bond, not to run. You're not allowed to mention Contemptors in the chat. I will ban you if you mention Contemptors because you're going to give me PTSD and I'm going to start crying. I miss that guy so much. Liam T up top, he was just asked a question, which was, do you prefer running Death Shroud as 3 or 6? Personally, for me, mate, it's 3, but both are good. It just depends what your kind of particular playstyle is. Okay, on to the next unit. The Icon Bearer. Again, another unit that kind of went from 0 to hero. What do you think about the Icon Bearer?
Yeah, this guy is the prime example of be careful who you call ugly in high school. He has come back with a vengeance, and he is shaking his flag like it's his moneymaker. He is really good now. I don't own one, but I would run him if I had one with a sort of more hero hammer build. Yeah, I think he's
actually just
solidly stinky.
I'm working on getting him painted up because I do really want to try this guy. I think the ability to basically just disembark from a Rhino, move, advance him, drop a giant banner, just sets up so many abilities. And then if you come into matchups where OC actually is going to matter against like Necron Bricks, you can keep him in a squad of 10 Plague Marines. And again, he's like 50 points, 45. I think he's even cheaper, isn't he? I can't remember fully. But yeah, like there'll be games where him getting a crucial banner off in the middle of the opponent's army is just going to like cause you to deal so much horrendous damage, or just debuff their entire army to just do no damage at all next turn. Yeah.
And how does he interact with Living Plague? So does he get to go to a 15-inch Contagion range, or is it stuck at 12?
He gets to go to a 15-inch Contagion range, I believe so. And
yeah, that is
to 18 with Mortarion. one thing someone did mention, which I never thought about actually, is if you have, he actually makes his unit go to a 12-inch contagion range. So what you could technically do, if you really want to make this Chaos Lord work, you can put him in a unit with a Chaos Lord, have the Chaos Lord with Living Plague, and then he pops his banner, and then you could even have Mortarion on it. So your Chaos Lord would go to an 18-inch aura on his little conduit, which is quite cute.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
That's
I like that combo. I haven't thought of that one either. That is,
Peter
this is why I like
coming in
Death
with
Guard with our characters. We can do all this modular stuff where we kind of put our
so
characters
cool.
in a lot of combos.
Peter Fairbrother was just coming with a £5 donation saying Defiler equals dog crap scented candle. Oh, corruption, I love you so much. Okay, so Defiler is currently doomed to Yankee Candle dog shit scented tier. Someone now has to try and save the crab. Bob has given us an explanation. I will read that in a second, why he genuinely thinks the crabs are actually better than we thought. Someone's also asking, are we going to drop those S tier Legend Possessed? If we could run Possessed, we'll make a note on it at the end. We'll do Possessed at the end, because it's I wish we could use them, put it that way. Sam discussing that 18-inch Contagion with Will yesterday. Yep. We're demons, so we're not including allies on here, but if we did include allies on here, it's basically Nurgles up in absolute filth cherry A tier, and I think you kind of overlook the rest of it, don't you? Great Uncumans can be cute. Biologus can be cute.
And maybe the Biologus is the guy who halves OC, right? So Biologus is kind of cool.
And he also gives himself 2 damage sweeps and 4 damage slams, which is quite cool.
Yeah, but it's mainly, if you're taking demon allies, you're just taking Nurglings mainly, and like they should be in every list as like our emotional support Nurglings.
Yeah. So where we're going to put this icon bearer then? I think he's with the foul Blightspawn. I think you don't have to take him in your list, but you're never going to regret bringing one, especially if you're bringing stuff like indirect or just setting up those big turns. I think he's solidly stinky. Yeah,
solidly stinky. Better than Cultists, not better than a foul Blightspawn. We might take.
Alrighty, so we'll go back to Bob for a second then. Here are his actual thoughts on crabs. First of all, it's not an assault unit, it's a defensive unit which can countercharge anything huge that comes into your side. Okay, so that means the movement's not as big of an issue. Flat damage-free cannon will destroy Terminator squads. True. It's very nice, especially if you get Mortarion. Means you can kill Deathwing Knights because the -1 damage won't work. And Battle Shock with crabs is nasty. I'm going to assume he means Tank Shock, not Battle Shock. And that would be true. That's basically a flat 6 mortal wounds every single time. He uses them as his flank defenders. Okay, I can see a use for that. What do you think? You play on WT better than me. Could you see them having a role in a defensive position?
I don't have issues being defensive with Death Guard. I find with the Plague Marine list, you're more than as we described when we were talking the other day. I call it kicking the hive. So when you come in to attack a Plague Marine unit or attack any unit in my army, the rest of the thing gets out and can swarm you very easily. So for me, Death Guard can play a reactive game perfectly fine. They don't really need to push that. They don't need. I don't think they need a defensive unit to countercharge. They need something to project their threat better. And I don't think the Defiler fits in that role at all compared to like Plague Marines.
Well, Pierce, I'm going to tell you to shut the fuck up because we just got another €5 donation for the Defilers. And now he's donated $7. So unfortunately, with Bob donating $7, that is the sacred Nurgle number. They're going to have to sit in the middle in nice. We're going to put them in nice and pungent.
I will say I appreciate Bob's devotion to the Defiler. I've never seen someone stand this hard for that model before. It is a fuck ugly model, but it is a excellent. It's excellent to see someone loves it that much.
Oh my god, Ben's made a good point. I always forget Storm Shields give Terminators extra wound. I can always forget that. So yeah, he won't be one-shotting Deathwing Terminators. Thank you, Ben, for pointing that out. I'm an idiot. Yeah, I don't know how I got like rank 1 UKTC either. It's a mystery to everyone else. I'm a moron apparently. It turns out, Pierce, 4 is a number bigger than 3. I didn't know that.
And if you add them together, 4 and 3, you get 7. Nurgle's number. It's all coming together, people.
Oh my lord. Okay, I've allowed Bob to place them up there. I will allow
agree
Peter,
with
who did. Go on, sorry. Go on.
Sorry, Liam T says they're put at the bottom of nice and pungent. Don't be too nice.
Okay, yeah. To be fair, I'll do that because Peter did give us a £5 donation to try and make them the dog shit scented candle. So no, I'm gonna put the Terminator below them because he failed me too many forums. It's fine. Our expectations of you are super low anyway. Thanks, man. You sound like my dad.
Oh god.
Uh, okay, so Land Raider. Let's get back on topic a little bit. I don't own a Land Raider. I really want to get a Land Raider. Land Raiders seem super fun and exciting. I know Sam's been having great success with Land Raider. Have you played any Land Raiders?
Not in this edition. I played them in the I think it was 8th edition. We had the auto explode, so I would drive my Land Raider at the opponent and blow it up in their lines, which was fun. I do have one. I don't think they're a bad unit. I think it depends on your list a lot. Like I wouldn't run one in the Plague Marine heavy list that I run. I could see a more mechanized Death Guard list making great use of a Land Raider. Like a party bus. Like if you're going a lot of heroes and characters, having that party bus for all the guys to hang out with.
Yep.
That's great. It adds some long range anti tank with its las cannons. I think for me it's nice and pungent.
Yeah, I think it has a really good place. And also, let's not look over the fact it does have 4 last cannon shots on it, and anti-tank in our army is a premium. So bringing that along whilst also transporting, they're only like 235 points now as well for these things. So they're fairly cheap in comparison. They bring anti-tank, they're quite tough to kill, and vehicles is vehicles.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same threat profile as it doesn't have the invuln save, but it's kind of like Mortarion. That's a 2-up save. It'll usually be having cover, high toughness. I think they're toughness 12 on Land Raider.
Yes.
Just double check.
Yeah, I believe it's T12
so like
2-up.
Yeah, T12, 16 wounds. So very similar profile to Mortarion, who's already a difficult to kill model. So I think they're a solid unit. I must try it one at some point. Just WTC makes me less likely to run them just because of the terrain.
Yeah,
I can see a place more for them on UKTC.
Yeah, the terrain is dependent. I'm going to put them at the bottom of Solidly Stinky because I have had Sam technically. He did technically come higher than me at LGT and win Best in Faction Death Guard, and he was running one, so that hurt. But yeah, they must be Solidly Stinky. He said he loved having it, so I'm going to put it up there for now. I do think it is terrain dependent. WTC, I think, is more dense than UKTC.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so I can see it struggle on WTC, but I think player placed UKTC. I think these guys are solidly stinky. I don't think you regret bringing a Land Raider, but again, it's not a you must take. It's a great choice, not a necessary choice. Well, you know what I'm trying to say. Okie dokie. So next one. We have the Lord of Contagion. What do we think about Lord of Contagion? But despite having one of the coolest goddamn models, I love him so much.
Yeah, his model is excellent.
They don't sell that one anymore. You have to get Lord of Voldemort instead.
Oh, you got to get Lord
Felthius, haven't you?
Felthius, yeah, with the weird face. I don't like. I've a bit weird. I don't like my models having bare heads a lot of the time. I believe, in the dangers of the 41st millennium, you should obey proper health and safety regulations and wear a helmet on the battlefield. And Lord Felthius, Felthius just doesn't subscribe to that,
Yeah, true. He's a bit of a wild card, and we don't like that in the Death Guard.
No, we like predictable and slow. We don't like, these hot-blooded youngsters.
So yeah, I think this guy, he does have a damage-free weapon. He kind of makes you just ask the question of why you're not just paying the extra points for Typhus every time. He does give a unit full rerolls to hit. Death Shroud don't really need that because they weapon skill 2. You can use it for farming for lethal hits and sustained hits, which is quite nice. But again, is it enough to warrant it? I think this guy is, am I bringing Blightlords? And if not, am I also bringing Typhus already in a different squad? And if yes to the first one, but Typhus is busy elsewhere, then I'd consider bringing him. But when you can, it's not necessarily that the Lord of Contagion is bad per se. It's just that Typhus and Lord of Virulence are just better and just good. So I don't think he's actually bad. I don't think he's. A lot of people just run this guy off and say he's terrible. I don't think he is. I don't think he's moldy sock. But I can. He's either in specific matchups, so he's very specific scenarios when you take him, or he's bottom end of nice and pungent. Probably in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree. His second rule is just the fight face thing when he loses a wound is just like non-existent basically as a rule. You also have the Lord of Virulence competing with them as well, or the Terminator Sorcerer, who are all like I don't think in Deathguard we have a problem killing stuff in melee.
No.
We have a ranged problem is projecting our threat via ranged attacks. Like when we get into melee, we start blitzing other armies down. So I'd agree. I think he's at the bottom of nice and pungent. I would rate him. Bob is going to kill me here, but I'm going to rate him higher than a Defiler. Bob's going to think I have some sort of personal vendetta against him because like he's already challenged us to a fight in the chat. You know, he's
are on two different WTC teams. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It could happen, Bob. It could happen, man.
So we have to do Team Ireland versus Team France here to decide the fate. Like screw WTC. This is the true battle.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna I think if I'd like to put them on top of each other if possible, but unfortunately I can't. And Pearce is live with me, and he's also in Ireland, which is closer. So I'm more scared that Pearce will get a boat, come over and attack me. So I'm going to go with Pearce on this one.
Yeah, Irishmen and Englishmen have a great history together, as we know.
Yeah, true. Land Raider seems almost like a Rhino upgrade kit. It gets moved and charged pretty much. Yep. Again, it's a great. I think Rhinos are fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but I think the Land Raider is like a side grade, or like, and also brings some anti-tank weapons with it. I think they're both solid choices. The real issue is you have to do profane acts behind a service station to get a Land Raider. I mean, I do live in Ashton, mate. You know, it's kind of rough around here. It's not hard to find places to do those acts. Come on, TTS, and I'll show you. So you have been challenged officially by the Frenchman. So I will look forward to. We're going to live stream the actual showdown for the real World Championship event.
Fight night.
Friday fight night. He only works, in my opinion, with Blightlord. Yeah, I agree. Land Raider is nice and pungent, Bob thinks. Yeah, I can see it also being nice. Maybe once we finish the list, maybe we shuffle it down to the top of nice and pungent. I'd rather have a Chaos Lord in Terminator armor over him with my only Terminators, where it's either Death Shells and Deep Strikes. I already had the other characters. Yeah, I can see the Chaos Lord potentially being better in general. It just depends. He's literally the fish man. If you want to go fishing for sixes, he's definitely the best. But outside of that, again, as someone said, do we need to kill so hard in melee? Because we already tend to punch really hard up close. So it could be overkill. I do think he's quite nice with the Blightlord brick, though I think that is his best use in a full 10 mammoth Blightlords to make them quite scary to vehicles in close combat. Right, okay. I'm just checking, making sure we haven't missed anything else. Okay, just gonna move on with it. So yeah, again, just gonna just people that have maybe joined late. I can see we have like 92 to 98 viewers. Thank you so much everyone for tuning in so far. Sticking with it, or you know, if you're coming, you're going. Again, feel free. It's obviously going to be uploaded. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Again, it's a bit more laid back, a bit more fun. We're having a bit of a laugh with it. It's not mega serious like some channels can be. But yeah, massively appreciate the support. Again, if you want to, we have at the moment, people that may have missed it at the start, we have launched a Discord channel for the server, which Bonzi and Ergel Shaman has just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much, bud, because those members will now have access to the Discord server. So check out the community tab on the YouTube. You will find a link, click that, you're in the server, and I will enslave my girlfriend over there to give you the assigned roles that you deserve. Isn't that right, Natalie? Sure. She doesn't look very happy. Thank you very much, Bonzi Nurgle Shaman. Massively appreciate the support, guys. Again, you guys got me this beautiful new microphone because I wanted the audio quality to be better for you guys. And again, maybe next we can get a nice camera so you can see every facial hair on this pathetic excuse I have for a beard. But yeah, anyway, back to the show. Lord of Virulence. Do we need to talk much?
No, this guy is excellent.
Yeah.
He's just one of our solid characters, like who I didn't have him on my LGT list, but the new updated version, I want to run him and try him out. I just think reroll to wound rolls is just on range attacks is excellent.
Yeah, I agree. Like, even if you don't have PBCs, just rerolling wounds is powerful enough. But the bonus to blast weapons, and a lot of lists are bringing PBCs. Again, we'll get onto why PBCs are so good. but he's just excellent. The only slight downside is this guy's weapon skill 3 for some reason, because apparently his Plague Fist is very heavy. But you can look past that because he's usually joined in a squad of something like Death Shrouds, and they'll do the melee killing for him. He still hits hard, don't get me wrong, 5 attacks at strength 8, 2. It's a Death Shroud profile, just a weapon skill 3. So, yeah, absolute filth charade. Better than Bloat Drone or behind Bloat Drone?
I'd put him better than Bloat Drone personally. Also, he synergizes with the best unit so far, which is the Putrefier, because the Putrefier has blast on his grenades. So +1 to hit and ignore cover on his grenades is just like excellent. Yeah, I'd put him higher than the Bloat Drone personally. I think he's just excellent.
Plus, you always have that fun
as your list.
You always have that fun moment when you shoot something, you go, oh, this weapon's blast. Like, I was using the Hellbrute with a plasma cannon, and I shot it, and I was like, oh, it's blast. I get +1 to hit, no cover. It's always fun. It's a nice feeling. Ben Staffordson, I'm just here to remind you, you are out of war tier trash now because of the tier list. That is all true. I have 100% sold out on this live stream. We're doing tier lists because I am the lowest of low content, and I am farming you all for views. Thank you very much for all being good little sheepies. Well, we're making it funny. We're making jokes and stuff. We're having a laugh. I mean, I got the novelty of an Irish person on. Does that not count? We'll have Bob on next time. Then we can have a Frenchman as well. I'm just going to go for all the nationalities until I run out of ideas. If you're looking to become a member, Benny Boy, you can't see it on mobile for some reason. If you're on PC, it should just be below, like where you're watching me now, they'll have the title of the video. Below that, there'll be like a subscribe option, and it'll say join, and it's that join button, bud. Okay. Yep, Defile has blast as well. I propose a proper fight on TTS streamed here to show everyone my little crabs running through your armies. Or we can do French stuff like drinking wine, smoking cigs while arguing on whether the crab is good or not. If you bring croissants, I am 100% in. I'm a croissant fiend. I will eat entire packs of those things. So one of us bring the wine. Someone can bring the cigs. I'll bring the croissants. We'll have an elegant game of TTS. Okay. So where did I put? Yeah, LV, S tier. Yeah, even Bob. Look, we've made peace between the Irish and the French. You both agree. We are diplomats here. Look at this. Corrupt diplomats, but we are diplomats. Okay, Plague Bong.
My mate Peter, who you might remember towards the start, who made a donation.
Bucket Man.
Bucket Man. For the longest time, he tried to convince me this unit was good. This is firm Yankee Candle territory, as far as I'm concerned. It looks like a Yankee Candle, to be honest. So it belongs there.
Holy shit, Christopher Latta with the 10 gifted subs. Thank you so much, buddy, for the support. Again, people who've just been gifted a sub, check the community tab, Discord link in there if you're interested. There's also some votes for upcoming content. You can vote for the next Perfect Plague 4 video, so there's like the matchup tactics video. Currently, Eldar are winning. If you love me, please vote nuts for anything other than Eldar, because that's a horrible video to make. How to beat Eldar. There's a World Eaters option. That's a really good one. You should click that one. That's a fun video. But yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Christopher. Now, I do agree. This guy is obviously it's not even legal. I don't think in WTC, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. You can't take fortifications to WTC play because the terrain lands are so specific, and they don't want people doing real veiny shenanigans by blocking off areas of the table and everything. So yeah, I think he's trash. Even if he was legit and legal, I would still not buy one.
Yeah. Now there's a guy on Nurgle's Mansion Discord, who is obsessed with these things and says they're good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this up here at the top, and then I'm going to just take a quick screenshot. Just give me a second.
We go. We did it. Buddy.
Yeah, there we go, and that'll do. Okay, and then we're actually going to put it where it belongs.
Yeah.
It's still worse than the Daemon Prince. No, because to be honest, if I'm going to waste that many points, I'd rather waste less points. So I'm actually going to put it is better than the weak Daemon Prince. So everyone again wants in chat. If this thing was in your army and it is a Yankee Candle smell, what would the Plague Bong smell like? Feel free.
Disappointment.
It smells like disappointment. It's like, am I right in thinking the Malignant Malignifier can do actions? Can Ford?
It's just eligible to shoot now, right? So
Yeah,
if
so
it was eligible to shoot,
yes. Just how does that? I don't know how that works, but Nick
I mean,
Lee?
you just infiltrate, it doesn't go anywhere, it deploys your teleport
Teleport
homers for
homers.
several turns.
Tech.
Yeah. Yes. You hope your opponent feels bad enough for you that you ran this that they don't leave it alone for 5 turns.
I love it. That's amazing. Step one of beating World Eaters: run Death Guard. My God, he's already figured it out.
Yeah.
Amazing unit. I personally run 3 of the Plague Bombs. The other options at the moment, Buggit, for the Plague videos are we have World Eaters, Custodes, Orcs, Eldar, and was it Tyranids, Nat?
What's that?
The last option, was it Tyranids?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tyranids. They're the options for the next episode, for the fella that asked that. It smells like weed. The Plague Bong would be amazing if it didn't cost 9 Nurglings. That is very true. He's only obsessed with them because he can justify his losses by blaming the Bong. Is there a rule that fortifications can't charge?
I think so. I think there's some rule about having no movement characteristic that you can't move or something. I vaguely recall this coming up with is it the Aegis defense line or something? Something about that in guard being able to like get a movement characteristic. I can't remember the specifics of it, but I don't believe it can move. Though you're making me quote the rules on a Friday night, which is always a difficult prospect.
Yeah, that's fair. Sam offering help with the Eldar one if you want. I played them twice at LGT. You know what? It's not the worst shout, mate. Hit me up on that one. That'd be quite cool, actually. I like how I just want to point out when we asked what would the Daemon Prince smell like, we had descriptions like autumn leaves or lavender before, and for the Plague Bong, I've had 2 answers. The first is weed, and the second is piss.
People do not look fondly on this unit.
Someone also put sadness and disappointment.
Oh, that person is. We're on the same wavelength, my brother.
Thank you for tuning in, Sim Onstein. Hope you had fun. To be fair, I objected to the commercial. Sorry, Don. Evening, gents. I think Aiden's still an idea too low volume wise. I can turn that up if you guys want. Can anyone else confirm that I'm a bit quiet? I can turn up. It's a new microphone this time, so it's not a shit headset. It's just it literally arrived like 30 minutes before stream or something. Natalie built it up on the desk while I walked the dog, so I haven't had a full chance to play around with the settings. So do let me know if you guys still finding it a bit quiet. I know how to turn it up. I just got to do it. So let us know. Okay, let's get back to it. So, it's the big boy himself, Mortarion.
Papa M.
Go on.
Papa M, he just does so much for us. He is our big cuddly father figure. I'm trying to think, does he eclipse his son, the Biologus Putrefier? You know, that guy went off to become a doctor, a better doctor than the other son who we're going to get to eventually, you know, who's not so favored in the family. But I feel like any good father would want their kid to outshine them, so I'll put Morty below the Bio P for that reason.
There's actual tier lists out there where people are like genuine reasons, competitive list wise, because this synergy, and we're just there like, you know what, he'd rather his son do better than him in school, so I reckon he's gonna but this is actually a fairly serious tier list. As much as we're making jokes, these are genuinely where we do believe these units should be. Mortarion is incredible. His ability to just deny opponents' defensive abilities or just any kind of way to stop you interacting and dealing damage to them is fantastic. He's 325 points, which is mega cheap. People say he doesn't hit very hard, which is fair enough. He probably could hit harder, but for his cost, what he gives in sort of his auras, and also just the fact that, you know, yeah, okay, he doesn't hit the hardest, but he's still got enough damage to punch into stuff. Like, if someone comes near, like a knight, a war dog, or a rampager, like in the games I've had versus knights, he's still solidly good enough to punch it into, you know, manage to smash it into pieces. So, you know, I reckon even with the damage output issues, I still think he's fantastic and pretty much should be in almost every single list you have.
Yeah, I'd agree. I don't think he's like his damage is an issue, but the damage is not the reason you take him in my view. Like, he draws fire away from the rest of your army because he is such a tough target to crack, and he's got a decent OC as well. OC 6 means he eclipses anything that isn't a war dog on an objective. Basically, most tanks in the game are like OC 3 or 4,
True.
so he can take objectives off them. 4 up invuln, 2 up armor save with cover. You know, pretty much all the time in this edition. like he is just. I would have taken him at 375 with the new rules we got. 325, he's just sort of an excellent auto include. I think in most lists.
I think I've turned up the volume a little bit on the microphone, but yeah, I agree. 325, I think he is auto include. Yeah, I think you're never really gonna have a reason to not want to take this fella. Yeah, I mean, someone did make a good point though. Mortarion's the kind of dude with daddy issues that he probably wouldn't want his son to outshine him.
Oh, that's true. That is a good point.
That is a really good point.
He should be top then because he wants to be the supreme.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, he has got superiority complex as well, probably. So yeah, he's fantastic. He's going in every list pretty much you make, especially competitively. Even lists where you don't bring like PBCs, I think that's the obvious use for him. But even just running forward in mega aggro lists, like we saw the list with triple bloat drone, triple carnivore, rhino rush, mortarion, he's just so hard. Yeah, everyone's saying it. He's a bullet magnet, which is a secret tech in itself, and it's correct. So yeah, it definitely belongs up there, doesn't it?
No, absolutely. Like he dropped. Like I didn't have. I had one PBC with flamers in my list, and I never used I never kept Morty in range for the ignore indirect penalty. With the ignore the modifiers aura he has. Morty would just push up the field to defend. Basically, go like I'm here, shoot me please, and then all my plague marines would run around and be happy.
And man, people love shooting Mortarion, don't they?
They do. Like they have this instinctive need when maybe he just has a really punchable face, right? They look at him and go, "Man, I want to beat that guy up," right?
Sounds like me in school. That's why I relate so much to him.
Yeah. I mean, that's why he wears the hood, right? He wants to cover up all the bruises he's got going on there.
Probably, yeah. Probably sounds about right. So yeah, I think he's definitely up there. Next fellow moving on to is Don Hooson wants some sultry, but hello Don Hooson, I hope you're having a fantastic evening. I'm giving you some ASMR Death Guard chat right now, and I really appreciate all my viewers in the chat, and this is me and Pearce are going to keep going through this tier list for you. Have a good day. How was that? Do I count? Do I get to make like an OnlyFans now? Okay, Plague Burst Crawler. Again, I think these things are just... I think they're straight up to the top as well.
Yeah, no, they're dynamite. Like, I don't... You don't always have to run 3 in a list, I think, but I think you always have a minimum of 1.
Yeah, interestingly, Pearce runs just the 1, which is quite... Do you want to sort of like... Obviously, you don't run the 3 Plague Burst Crawler combo, which is quite interesting. A lot of people could probably call you Madman. But why do you still bring the 1? Do you want to just quickly explain to chat?
Yeah, so I bring the 1 because in an era of like Shadow Spectres and lots of other nasty little deep striking units, it's a very good backfield objective holder because it's got the mortar, so it can contribute the indirect. If you deep strike near it, it has 2 flamers that will auto hit you in Overwatch. Like if Inceptors come down, Inceptors will pick up Plague Marines on a home objective very easily, but they don't have a easy time cracking a PBC, and the PBC can flame them and do other stuff. And it's OC4, so it's very good at holding objectives. So I would never leave home without 1. Whether you run more than 1 is entirely dependent on your list. I would always run them with flamers as well. I know the entropy cannon is quite popular as a choice, but the reduced range of 24 on the entropy cannon, in my view, makes it a lot and the lack of kind of reliability with it makes it kind of a poor choice in my mind. The Overwatch threat you have with Plague Spitters on 3 PBCs is kind of scary for Eldar. Like they've got lots of warp spiders jumping around. Now they can't get anywhere near you because they get punished really hardly by a PBC just picking up a squad of warp spiders.
Which is also really funny because Eldar died.
yeah, exactly. Like it always feels good when Eldar dies.
Yes, Foggy, I do believe, as he just proved then, bringing just the 1 is perfectly fine. It holds your home objective. Pierce runs just the 1. He puts his Plague Spitters on it, and that'll defend his home objective on its own from any of those cursed 3-inch deep striking cheeky units that we don't have access to. And still, indirect is indirect. It's always going to be contributing all game long. Liam T, this did not turn into a Slanesh podcast. That was some cursed ASMR. I do apologise. The police have already knocked on my door. They've given me a restraining order. I'm no longer allowed to do ASMR. I'm banned. I do apologise for that. Hopefully it was worth it, Don Hooson, because now I'm never allowed to whisper ever again.
We can add like some belching if we want to make it appropriately Nurgle, maybe, you know.
I do apologize for anyone that's listening. Is like, this is the stupidest tier list ever. They're just being idiots about it. This was meant as a more fun, like light-hearted stream. Like tier lists to me are subjective and daft anyway. So I hope you just enjoy it, and hope we're managing to get some giggles out here and just enjoying sitting along with the wild ride. If you were here for like mega serious content, I do apologize. Okie dokie. So next up, we got the Malignant Playcaster. Now, this is a guy I actually want to try, but the problem I have with him is I want to try him for his Flamer, but this guy here is just cheaper. And okay, it's maybe not as good as a Flamer. It kind of is and kind of isn't better. This guy can obviously do D3 damage. He has average more shots, but he doesn't have the anti-infantry on it, and he also has a chance to blow himself up. I think that's kind of what holds this guy back. Like, he does have the other abilities, which is -1 to wound and melee, which is actually really nice. And -2 to move and charge, but it has to be cast at 12 inches. So it's like, wow, you're still getting charged, bro. I think this guy is now he's nice and cheap now, but I think he's mainly hampered by just how efficient the foul Blightspawn is. Plus, the foul Blightspawn obviously doubles up as fights first, which is -1 to wound in combat is good. Me fighting first and just killing you is better. What do you think, bud?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's overshadowed by his solidly stinky brother. If his Flamer was 18-inch range, I could see a bit more of a niche for this guy. Because then he could apply his movement debuff at greater range. Perhaps there's some shenanigans to be had with reducing movement and then like trapping an enemy model so it can't like fall back, perhaps. But I agree. I think you just want the foul Blightspawn. He does more at the moment. Maybe you could do a list where it's like oops all flamers, where it's just like 3 of these guys, 3 foul Blightspawns, and they're just like just blazing out of
Rhinos
hatches
and just shooting out the top hatches.
Yeah, and then take like plague spewers as well on your plague marines and just like start hosing people down. You come near me, eat like 5d6 Overwatch shots, baby.
Yeah. Foggy in chat, Blight seems really good with PBCs. It is, but I do have a video up which is like a unit breakdown, like a Death Guard fundamental video. I do go in depth into each unit you see on this tier list as to what makes it so good and the strats that work for it the best and stuff like that. But you are right, yeah, Blight is fantastic, especially when you manage to have 3 Plague Burst Crawlers. You basically, I always call it Death Guard oaths a moment, because you just pick a unit and just be like, yep, you're dead, which is quite cool. But yeah, I agree, this Playcaster, I think he's nice and pungent still. It's still a really good Flamer at a pretty competitive cost. But I think he is made semi-redundant by the Blightspawn, which would probably have me put him probably below Chaos Lord. No, probably like actually down here, just above Defiler. Because
Defiler, yeah, I would put him. I think I'd actually put him, in my view, between the Chaos Lord and the Blighthauler. That's where I would put him. I think that's where I Bob is going to kill us for our Defiler rating, but
for Defiling his Defiler.
Yeah, we really are. We're being harsh on him. We're treating him like a redheaded stepchild.
Yeah, just for anyone that is listening, by the way, all of these up are good. Like, not nice and pungent is good. Like, that means good unit. Solid Stinky means great unit, and then there's excellent units at the top. Like, nice and pungent is not a bad unit. Like, don't think this is like C tier is shit. We just have like so many units in Death Guard have a place right now, and it's a really good time to be a Death Guard player. Again, if you're running a Demon Prince or a Plague Bong, you know, punish yourself at your own will.
Like, you can run that when the army is like, garbage in a year or something. If we get really badly nerfed or something, then you can run your Demon Prince and feel fine. But we are near the top of the food chain right now, so seize the moment, folks. Take it, grab it with both hands.
Someone's put in chat, no, there's 8 units in the tier now. First Slanesh AMR, now Korn's number. The true face of this podcast is coming to light. Be Zinch soon, don't worry. Plague Marines. Now, a lot of people, and I think people are starting to come around now, a lot of people still think Plague Marines are shit. I think it's just a playstyle change. I think if you treat them as fairly squishy glass cannons, which to be fair, they always still were, even with -1 damage, they were still fairly squishy. But if you go back to the old playstyle of playing them in Rhinos, looking for trades, because this thing can trade up so hard, especially at the cost they're at, 160 for 10, and that can kill 450 point knights easily. so easily. Especially if you got Biologus Preach Fire in there, you can trade into anything in this game. They're so like I don't know why they're cheaper than like intercessors. It is insane. They're fantastic. I think if you run a list, you definitely want to bring Rhinos with them. But I mean, you take it away. You're the Plod Squad master. You're the Plague Marine
I
King.
am. Well, if Bob is going to advocate so hard for the Definer, like I am obviously biased. I love my Plod Squad. I love just mass Plague Marines. As I said, they are so. They've got grenades. They fight well. Well, they fight okay. They have a bit of shooting. They kind of do a bit of everything while being very cheap with high OC. So they can just stand on markers and they don't necessarily need to kill whatever they're fighting as long as they grind it down. And they usually win the attrition war against whatever they're fighting. For me, they are like, I include them in every list. Usually minimum 30, 6 squads of 5 because they're just so cheap at 80 points. I put them in absolute filth to Cherry Aid. Some folks might grade them more as a solid stinky tier. I defer to Aiden on this one because I think he has more an unbiased take than I will of where they should end up going. But I would put them in absolute filth tier.
I would put them personally, if it was me, about here. Yeah, I reckon about there. I think I'm getting back on the Plague Marine train now. I think they're a more high skill unit. I think obviously you can be punished a lot harder with these because you don't have an invulnerable to fall back on a 2-up save. But value into damage ratio, into like the extra OC they can get, and that with Rhino plays and Rhino staging points and stuff, Plague Marines are so good at the moment. Like we've seen people literally just running 16 6 Rhinos and just running people down, like not even thinking about it. They're just like, yeah, I'm just gonna run these at you, and they win. Like it can just do that. Plague Marines are fantastic. I think there is just genuinely builds just that can work purely off 60 Plague Marines, but I don't think you need the full 60. I think you can do like 30s and 40s also work. It's just I think the only reason like I wouldn't don't take them without a Rhino though. I wouldn't say. I would never just like
agreed.
Like I wouldn't ever just run 5-man like just to hold home or something. Because you can just get PBC to do that whilst it's doing what it was going to do. But yeah, I think their Plague Marines are really solid. Free war gear obviously is insane on them. Yeah, I've got nothing else to say on them. They're just really good at the moment.
They're just an excellent unit. And if you want more of the discussion of the list I was using, the Plague Marines, Aiden has a piece we did talking a few days ago where I kind of go into more how my list played on the table. They're just the only hard part about them, I think, is getting the war gear options. With the getting 40, 50 Plague Marines. I think most of us have bolter Plague Marines, so then they have to convert them up, or you have to get spare bits, or you have to buy more Plague Marines, which is a bit of a downside to them. But they're an excellent unit. It's great to have a Death Guard list where it's like your Plague Marines are like a terror or a mainstay of your army, right? Like it feels like you're playing Death Guard at that point.
Yeah, most people that probably got into Death Guard did so because of Plague Marines. Like that's what got me. I was playing this before this was its own army, and the only units we had was Typhus and Plague Marines. So I have a soft spot for Plague Marines in my heart always. They're such cool models, especially since you can convert them up and make some like unique looking ones as well. And the kit's so cool. Plague Marines, love them, solid. How are Plague Marines going above drones and PBCs? So if I could honestly put them in a line, I probably would. I'm going to put the PBC. I just kind of slapped the PBC on the end. I didn't actually think where I was going to put in the PBC. PBC is going to go. I would probably put PBC above Plague Marines because I think indirect is such a toxic rule into some armies. It can basically dictate the tempo of the game alone. But honestly, those three are so close in like where I'd place them. I'd have them in a line if I could. I think they're brilliant. I do think Plague Marines can be better than Bloat Drones. It just depends on the list you're running. But I think if you're running a Plague Marine focus list, the Plague Marines can get more done for you than a Bloat Drone. But if you're not running a Plague Marine focus list, then the Bloat Drone would jump head back and forth. But again, everything up there is like incredibly like really good.
Like my own personal bias would say the Plague Marines are slightly ahead of the PBC, but I also at the same time don't really play 3 PBC, so it just depends on your list ultimately. Like if you're building for fixed secondaries like my list does, you want more units, and the Plague Marines are great for that. Like they have high OC, so they could bully on objectives. You could just walk on and shut down your opponent's primary very easily. It's very close. It is such close between a couple of these units in the S tier or the filth tier.
Yeah, and do bear in mind, again, tier lists are always subjective. Never take them mega seriously. If a unit's working for you and you love it and it's doing excellent work for you, that's your S tier. There's nothing wrong with that either.
The only thing to remember is the Defiler is garbage tier. Bob, I'm just doing this to wind up Bob at this point now because he's gonna be now going, how dare you say this about my Defiler?
Mr. D. Wimpany, what do you like for Plague Marine Wargear? I think we have the same idea. If it's a 10-man squad, we go 4 heavy plague weapons, then an extra 1 on the sergeant, so 5 in total. Triple plasma gun because you have 2 in the squad, 1 on the sergeant. Double blight launcher, and then a anti-infantry 2 plus flamer. I think that's my squad. Is that the same as yours, Pierce?
Yeah, absolutely, same squad.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name. Is the Plague Spewer? Is the
It's the Plague Spewer, yeah, is the larger one.
Yeah.
Plague Belch is the weaker one, which no one cares about. It looks cool though. Poxwalkers. Yeah. Now this is an interesting one because the meta before, I'd actually had these probably up in absolute filth. I thought 20 of them with Typhus is fantastic. I don't think these guys are bad. The problem is these guys are currently a victim of the game. Aggressor bombs, especially with Marine Cooks just coming out, aggressor bombs are everywhere. And again, in the interview I've done with Pearce, which will be up soon, he explains why he no longer puts Typhus with his Poxwalkers. Which, do you want to explain why you don't do that anymore?
Yeah. So there's a lot of units in the game that are gearing up to kill like Necron warrior blocks and whatnot, and the Poxwalkers fall victim to that. So an aggressor bomb shooting into this Poxwalker squad will lift it, and I found in test games as a consequence when Typhus was in this squad, because you want Typhus to lead them so you can maybe do some cool resurrection shenanigans or, make a bit of a melee tar pit unit. What typically happened is they were a big noose around Typhus's neck and sort of carried him off to a quick death when they got shot at because he would die with the squad. I ran 20 in my LGT list, and they always ran them by themselves. I will cut them from all future lists. For me, they're not Yankee Candle, but they're moldy sock tier above the Daemon Prince.
Yeah, I agree. It's not Poxwalker's fault. I just the problem is Necrons are such a checklist at the moment. So if you run into Necrons and you can't kill a Necron brick, you aren't going to do well at an event. So a lot of lists and a lot of the good players are bringing stuff that can pick up Necron bricks. And if it can pick up a Necron brick, it can definitely pick up 20 Poxwalkers easily. So unfortunately, right now, they fall into probably Moldy Sock tier. Because if you just want something to hold your home objective, you can do it with Plague Burst Call, you can do it with Cultists. There's other things you can also just do that with. A slow moving unit of Feeling of Pain, and it's great, value wise they are fantastic, and there's not, again, this isn't because of them. It's not a Poxwalker problem, it's a current meta problem. That's what I think anyway. Again, I've cut them from my list. It's not because of them, but because I'm just getting to the point where they just keep getting picked up instantly, whereas before they could come in, threaten someone at the backfield, take it, and then be almost unkillable. But given how, especially now we're going to start seeing stuff like infiltrating aggressors that can keep pulling themselves off the table, bringing themselves back on with the Vanguard detachment. You're going to see Dreadnought spam lists, which Poxwalkers aren't going to do anything to, and they're going to have all those Gatling cannons that are just going to pick them up. So yeah, unfortunately, a victim of circumstance, not of the fact that they are Poxwalkers. If the meta was different and the meta that was before all this happened, and people weren't loaded upon, killing Necrons so hard, they were fantastic. I think they are fantastic. And value for points, they are very good. Please just, just understand that when we rate this, because we'll do more in the future as the meta changes, different balance updates come out. But right now, Poxwalkers are really struggling to find a spot in lists because everyone's trying to kill Necrons.
Yeah, and I think they were nice in 9th when they had Terminus S. So maybe if they get a detachment when we get our Codex, they could get some support then, and then they could become a very interesting unit again. A stratagem to benefit them, or an enhancement or something, or maybe we get a new character who does a sort of necromancer zombie leader vibe that joins the squad and kind of leads them to do cool things.
Okay, but Bob has just saved this unit from Moldy Sock tier. He forgot about something that, and it's mainly because I'm not very scared of it at the moment because melee's not the biggest thing, but they do screening really well.
They do, but Cultists do it as well, right? Cultists screen.
That is true, and they do also have a scout to push out the screens even further. They do have the Feeling of Pain to keep them alive. I'm tempted to put them at the bottom end of Nice and Pungent because I feel like I'm being really harsh on them because it's not their fault. Like I would
We
still.
can revise that. We can revise them, and maybe they get bumped up, and maybe somebody else gets replaced at the end.
I would put Terminator Lord in Moldy Sock over the
That's fair. Yeah.
Poxwalkers. I will trade. I will trade their spots. Um, you can go down there. You can go. I think that's fair. There you go, Bob. I've saved him at the cost of the Chaos Lord. What have I done? You've
he
condemned him to Moldy
he
Socks.
rapid ingressed into the wrong tier.
Okay, so we got the two Predators next. I am a sucker for Predators, but I am jaded because I have my little Predator that could. When he needs to roll the rolls, he rolls the rolls, and then he gets a bit of performance anxiety in the next game, but then in the third game he brings it back. So I am 100% jaded, but I am jaded by the novelty of the little Predator that could. So as someone that's not a Predator, like doesn't treat the Predator as its firstborn child, can you give us an opinion on Predators?
I don't really rate them that highly, to be honest. They're competing with me with the PBC. Now, I understand they bring some anti-tank, just like the Land Raider that can bring laser cannons at a 2-up save. I think in a meta where there's a lot of lethality going around, I think we're better off having a 2-up save against stuff like, Night Slayers just plinking wounds off us and hoping for dev wounds a lot of the time. They're not particularly reliable, I find, as well, compared to the PBC, which does a lot for its cost. Now, I think the Predator's, maybe 30, 40 points cheaper?
Yes, 35 points cheaper.
But then what happens is you're competing for the same space and angles going down parts of the board, which like at 48-inch range is great, right? But if you're playing on a dense terrain set where you can't actually get angles at that 48-inch range, that doesn't really matter that you have that long range then.
Yeah.
Like if your Predator can't see, it can't leverage that advantage. So maybe on player place they become a bit more impactful, but I don't rate them very highly. I don't think they're terrible, but I would put them like in Moldy Sock tier. I think I would actually rate the Defiler higher than I would rate the Predator.
Oof. Oh, that one hurt, bud. That one hurt. So we obviously have the two variants. I think the Destructor's probably a better all-rounder, even though I run the Annihilator because I just want that las cannons. Again, I don't run Plague Marines, which I think having that more impactful midfield is probably going to be better. I think, though, if you do want a lot of las cannons, you can just pay a couple more points, 100 more points, but you get a Land Raider, which gains the 2-up save, gets an extra las cannon shot, and assault ramp transport capacity, and a twin heavy bolter. So he probably does that job better. Okay, he doesn't really... The weird thing with the Predator is, the Annihilator is, I hate its rule of, like, reroll 1s on damage, because, like, sometimes you just roll 2s, and it's, like, great. It's like, I get no rule. Whereas, like, the Lancer can just reroll a damage roll if it wants. Like, whether it's a 1, whether it's a 2, whether it's a 3, it has the choice to reroll a hit, wound, and damage roll. So, as much as I love the little Predator that could, I think he might think I hate specific matchups, because if you are in a meta full of knights and stuff, it is a very cheap way to get las cannons in your army. So I think he has a place for specific matchups if you're in heavy vehicle metas. I think the Predator Destructor is more of an all-round unit, and I would put him in nice and pungent because I don't. Again, it's such a cheap hull with nice firepower, and that thing's flat 3 damage, and we have the ability to fix its biggest problem, which is its AP with -1 save. So I don't actually think it. I think you could probably put, if we're not talking about you can take this thing if you're against lots of vehicles, the Annihilator probably could go in Moldy Sock tier, but I'm going to save him because he's my little pet unit, and I'm going to put him in specific matchups. But I think the Destructor in general has a more useful rule with extra AP versus infantry, and it can also take las cannon sponsons and the auto cannon on top. So I think he's generally probably better. But yeah, as Bob said, it's a very swingy unit. Sometimes that Predator connects all its las cannon shots, wounds them all, he fails every invuln, and you one-tap a vehicle. Sometimes he misses every single shot. Or what likes to happen to me is I will miss the twin link shot, will miss on the hit roll, and then the 2 sponsons will hit, and those 2 sponsons will fail on the wound roll. Which is every time. But yeah. Next up, Chaos Rhino.
I rate these very high. It depends on your list.
I think
I would have them as a solidly stinky at the very top of solidly stinky.
I think they're absolute fills, honestly.
Oh yeah, fair.
Because they enable Plague Marine builds, and Rhinos in every game I've ever played in every edition Rhinos are such a weird unit. You don't like buying them because they're boring, kind of. You don't like putting them in your list because they're kind of, again, like you look at them like, oh, it's 75 points for a transport, but the amount of times these things are still alive turn 5 because no one wants to shoot an empty transport, and it just drives off and scores you like a lot of points at the end of a game. It's unreal, and like the amount of mobility it gives, it's 12-inch move. It's faster than bloat drones. Like this thing is fast.
Yeah, they're I would describe them as they're not a flashy unit, right? Like they don't do these big cool plays like, like Styx Death Shroud and a Lord of Virulence deep striking next to you. But they're just a kind of a workhorse of the list. They get your Plague Marines from point A to point B. I use them a lot for firing deck with foul blight spawns, or I use them to cleanse a lot. Because my list was again built around just doing fixed secondaries every game. I never do the tactical cards.
Yeah, now
So
I might have to bring it down to Salty Stinky just because we probably got too many in filth tier.
Yeah.
So I think I'll bring it down, but it's definitely going to top. I feel like we need to bring something else down. What would you bring down off here to Salty Stinky?
Off of Solidly Stinky, I would take the Lord of Virulence out of Solidly Stinky, I think, as well.
So you reckon he goes to top a lot of Salty Stinky?
Yeah, I reckon the Rhino and the Lord of Virulence can go to the top of Solid. I put the Rhino top of Solidly Stinky, to be honest.
Yeah, Lord of Virulence is fantastic, by the way. Again, these are all like fantastic up here. Austin, thank you very much for becoming a member, buddy. I massively appreciate the support. I do enjoy your the fact that you made this tier list as well. That's really cool. I've got to stop rating units on my personal inability to roll dice. Very true. But again, tier lists are the stupidest content on the planet. They're kind of subjective anyway. So you're right. Like don't get me wrong. If my Predator probably was popping vehicles every game, every turn, it'd be up in S tier. But in general, I think this is still fairly solid. Like in its actual serious stance. I think we're actually sort of on track. Like this is genuinely, if I was to look at the book and be like, okay, mega serious now, this is probably how I'd have my ratings. Like obviously me and Pearce are working together on this, so if it was me fully, I'd probably have the Predators up more into here because I use Predators a lot more. Defiler for me would unfortunately be in Yankee Candle tier because again I can't use them on the terrain I play on. We're trying to meet in midpoints. Also we're corrupt and bought this one its position up here. I also think a lot of Contagion is probably better than these two personally, but again, it's so subjective to your local meta, to where you play, the people you play against, the terrain you play on. It's why tier lists are kind of dumb. He says making a tier list, but
they're fun though, right? They're fun because they generate discussion ultimately, right?
Yeah. It's like Liam saying there, in serious, he'd probably move the Mephitic Blighthorn down to Preds. And you know what? When I actually think of it, I would rather have the Predator Annihilator than a Mephitic Blighthauler. That is true.
That's fair. I mean, we can revise at the end, right? We can move him down, put him into maybe the Blighthauler goes into multi-sock tier. I mean, he's a fine unit, but we're looking at all the other units we have in that category. Yeah. They're also all really fine units. Yeah, something's got to give. I
think one of the cool things about Deck at the moment is actually like, despite I think only Yankee Candle tier is literally like, don't take it. It's such a internally balanced. We're actually in a really good spot, and I think you can mainly take mostly any unit, even the weird Noxious Blightbringer you can find tech pieces for. So like again, all these units are fine and dead easy. That's why we don't have ABC tier. There's just these are really solid, these are fantastic, and these are excellent. The only ones that we have are bad are like we only have 4 at the moment out of everything. 2 of them are the same unit, just one has wings and one doesn't. And one of them's a fortification, which, let's be honest, if you watch any tier list, fortifications are pretty goddamn bad. They're always bad. And in half tournaments, they're just flat out illegal. So, yeah, don't get too much caught up on where stuff's placed. It's just personal opinion. Chaos Spawn. Chaos Spawn, bit odd. I actually ran a unit of these in the data slate before because I wanted something that's a bit tougher and can survive 3-inch deep strikers a bit easier because they're a bit tougher to kill than like 10 cultists. I would quite obviously get flamed off points very easily. These guys having like T6 or something like that. They have a 4-up save and a 5-up feel no pain. It's quite nice, and they can also hit back if you get lucky on the swingy rolls. That Blitz weapon skill 4, but they are like strength 6 AP 2 damage. Somewhat daft. I don't think they're bad, but the problem is you can't take them in ones like you used to be able to, and they only went down 5 points, like 70 points for 2 of them, and it's just a question of like points wise, they're probably the thing that is probably one of the more least efficient choices in the book. And
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd put them in like Moldy Sock tier. They're competing like they're 70 points. You get a unit of Plague Marines for 10 more points. I would just take a unit of Plague Marines.
Still better than
they're not
Prince,
really
though.
doing anything special in our army. There's something I'm looking at going with the spawn, going, oh, I can get this here that I can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, and like if you really wanted something that does that sort of thing, I said where it's quite a tough unit to like survive indirect. Beast of Nurgle is like 5 points more, does it way better because if they leave that thing on one wound, it heals to full. It's also like toughness 9, with an invulnerable. Like it's done better by allies. It has no real place anyway in the first place. Yeah, it's multi-sock tier. Sorry, guy. If you love your spawn, plus I mean like it's one of the ugliest kits ever made. It's not great. Top of sock.
Yeah, the only thing in my mind that gets it to Moldy Sock tier and not Yankee Candle is it has a 5-up Feel No Pain, which is always a really good
the Lord
rule,
doesn't have
just
that,
on a
so they're
bad
going top of
model.
sock.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone said there, Beast of Noodle is the same thing Chaos Spawn do, but better deep strike as well, and better movement in general. And they also have Dev Wounds, weirdly, Beast of Noodle, because reasons.
They don't have a Feel No Pain, though, which is the big thing. That's the one rule I always look at and go, super swingy. Like, we only have 2 Feel No Pains of 5-up in the entire book. It's Morty and the Spawn.
Yeah, true. And you're not taking the Daemon Prince, so we won't talk about
that. Yeah, and it's only a 6-up, and 6-ups are notoriously reliable.
Oh, no. Oh, no. It's time.
It's your favorite unit next, right?
It's time. Yankee Candle can't even describe the hatred I have for this model. I despise this model. This model deserves nothing more than to be thrown in the bin. And okay, let's break it down. He is the most expensive Virion that does literally nothing. Oh, but Aiden, he can resurrect one model at I don't care. I can get 5 Plague Marines for 80 points. This guy would have to resurrect a Plague Marine every single turn for 5 turns to make back his value. Why? Why? What use is this dude? It's like... I don't... No, Don, this is the one thing I can't agree with you on. Normally, I like your off-brand takes, but the Plague Surgeon is awful, man. People don't understand that Plague Surgeon is another model that hits these. I'll give it... Okay, he has 2 damage attack. I'll give it to you. Hi, Rocky, welcome, bud. But, man, this guy... And the annoying thing about this guy is he's been so close to being good because he used to give a 6-up Feel No Pain, which was like... Oh, man, if only he rezzed and had the Feel No Pain. And now this edition's come out, and he rezzes, but they took the Feel No Pain off him, so it's like... Ugh! It's like... Oh, man. I think the problem Don I have with him, he's choppy, but he joins a squad that doesn't need help being choppy. Like, Plague Marines can slam people. You know the Biologus Preachfire is fantastic, right? You're never finding a slot for this guy because you just take a Biologus Preachfire and just slam someone's head in. He looks sick. If he could join Terminators or just resurrect models in any unit nearby, that would be fantastic. But God, I don't know I hate this dude so much. It just angers me. If he went down to like 40 points, yeah, because then, you resurrect 3 Plague Marines, you've made value back. But the fact he's 65, he's competing with Foul Blightspawn, Biologus Preachfire, and they're just better to me personally in every single way.
Yeah, absolutely. 15 more points, you get 5 Plague Marines. Yeah, if he could join Terminators, in fact, if all of our characters could join Terminators, they'd get a serious glow up. The Plague Surgeon especially, or if he had like a lone up rule where he could revive models and friendly units around him instead. If he had like lone up and he could revive guys, pick a unit in your command phase and revive a model, then he'd be really appealing. But like he needs a complete rewrite, or he needs some sort of enhancement that makes him absolutely busted.
I'm just gonna make it. Didn't mean to add 2. Delete that one. Oh god, I made too many rows. Delete that row. There we go. This is my personal vendetta tier. It is gonna be in. It doesn't even deserve a color. It's gonna go in white. You don't deserve it. So
Pure mold, is that it?
Tell you what, if anyone If anyone can go out there, Sam has pinned a comment at the top. I pinned Sam's comment at the top. If you manage to go to an event and you manage to win the Plague Surgeon, however, the Plague Surgeon has to at least kill something or resurrect models equal to his points. So you can't just sit him in the back. You have to make use of him and do something. And I want cool stories of why he did it. I will. Okay, I don't know. What can I even do? I'll paint an Eldar army. Is that enough? Is that enough of a threat?
Paint an Eldar army. Don't do it, Aiden. Don't do it. I'll talk you off the shelf.
No, Thor, but he can't even resurrect a character that was positioned out. He can't do that. Yeah, so, there's your challenge. I set you a challenge, viewers. Don, I also set you a challenge. Take the Plague Surgeon, kill some people. Then I will come back. I will bow down before you, and I will put the Plague Surgeon in S tier from every video from now on. But personally, it angers me to look at that model because it's a really cool mold too. It looks really cool. But my God, talk about missing the mark every time. Mr. Tallyman. Mr. Tallyman. So Tallyman regenerates a command point at the start of your command phase on a 7 or higher on 2 dice, which is nice. Especially if you're playing more fixed. I know you play a lot of fixed Pierce, so that's quite good. And he also gives the unit he joins +1 to hit. Now, my problem with that is usually the unit he joins is going to be in a Rhino, and he has the word that he has to be on the battlefield to roll for the CP, so it's really counterintuitive in that point. A lot of people sit him in the back on his own, and I think that's fine. You do run the risk of just getting Night Spinnered off or indirected if they pull an assassination card or something. What do you think about this guy, Pierce? I find him personally I find he's a non-required unit. I don't really see me needing him. I'm not saying he's bad, but I just don't know when I'm sat there going, oh man, I really wish I had a Tallyman right now.
Yeah, I'm of the same mindset. Like for me, I looked at trying to get this guy in to my lists originally because kind of to generate a CP when doing fixed, because I don't get any CP otherwise. And I found it was never actually necessary. I never really felt at any point in my games, like I've played fixed for maybe 10, 15 games of the Death Guard now. I've never really felt like I was missing out on not having that extra CP. Like I just was a lot more disciplined in how I used my command points. So for me, he would maybe be a nice one of and fixed. If we had better stratagems with a different like detachment, perhaps he gets a bit more appealing. But for me, I would maybe put him on the very bottom of nice and pungent or top of moldy sock.
Yeah, I definitely think, again, we'll reshuffle. I'll put him there for now. Again, I don't think he's bad. I think if you find yourself needing the CP, he's also a character that can sit at the back and just screen out a bit. But yeah. Sorry, I did accidentally delete Yankee Candle too. I've fixed it, everyone. Sorry about that. But yeah, Taiwan's a good one. We'll come back to him on that nice and pungent list because I think we'll have to re-sort out the nice and pungent list. But yeah, I agree. I don't ever see myself sitting there ever wishing I'd brought a Tallyman, especially because I've been playing tactical a lot. I can always ditch a thing for a command point. But again, as long as you're just smart with your command points, and again, he's even unreliable at that one thing he does with the command points, because you could just, again, like the Chaos Lord, you could just not roll a 7. Like, okay, chances are you should roll a 7, but we've all had games where we can't make a 7 to save our life.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe if like he had like the captain rule where you can do like a strat for free or something, or like the Nexus, he'd be a lot more interesting. But at the moment, he just doesn't do enough compared to like his brother, the Bio-P. At least he's not the Plague Surgeon, right?
True. Yeah, at least he's not the Plague Surgeon.
Yeah.
Terminator Lord, Sorcerer Lord. Now, this guy depends for me. I think he's totally stinky. I think he makes our most expensive strat free on the unit that you want it on, which is really good because 2 CP is too expensive for Disgustingly Resilient. He also has an insane once per game attack, and I've had that attack spike. Now, you can have it roll low, but as long as you bring in with the idea of the value is mainly for him to be there, either going in solo and doing actions, or joining a squad and giving it -1 damage, then it doesn't really matter too much if you whiff or kill. But when it does spike and you shoot into like aggressors, I had him shoot into an aggressor bomb, kill 5 of them on his own.
Oh.
Which is just like, when that happens, you're just like, best 70 points I ever spent.
Yeah.
So I think he's solidly stinky. I don't think you have to use him. I just like he's like a casino. He's like a casino. You just take him, you roll the dice, and you either's gonna murderize a unit or do nothing. And then worst case scenario, he's a 40mm base that can deep strike, drop him in, score a secondary. You're not going to complain. It's 70 points, and he's got a 2-up armor save and a 4-up invul, and he's not the freest kill in the world. I think he's pretty solid.
Yeah, he's like what the Chaos Lord wishes he was, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
He drops in, does a bunch of damage. Just, yeah, 40 mil base, very cheap. I like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's solidly stinky. He's not overpowered. He's not anything insane. But if you roll the dice, he can go straight to the top of S tier. He can outdo Mortarion sometimes with the shit he can pull off. But again, you are playing the casino. You're playing the slot machine. Sometimes you come up, triple bar. Sometimes you come up like one cherry and Nova aid. And then last but not least, this man himself, and he's straight up there.
He's at the top. The question is whether he beats dear old dad or not.
Oh, I'm a Typhus fanboy, so I'm going to say yeah.
Yeah, I sticking with the rule we had from the comment we had from someone in chat earlier that Morty is the kind of guy with daddy issues and doesn't like to be eclipsed by his kids. So I would actually put him behind the Biologus Putrefier. I think the Biologus Putrefier is just that little bit better.
You really love that Biologus Putrefier. So I'm going to keep the Biologus behind because of the one thing. The Biologus Putrefier is good in Plague Marine list. Typhus is good in every list.
That's a fair point. That is a fair point. I think it's then between Morty and Typhus for the top spot. And you're going Typhus at the top spot, is it?
I'm going Typhus team because Typhus is my favorite character in 40k. So as we all know, tier lists are based purely on lore opinion and nothing to do with actual in-game effect. But thankfully in this instance, Typhus has immense in-game impact. So let's just cover some of them quickly. He has an 18-inch 8-range D6 mortal wound, possibly D3+3 smite attack, which can ignore lone ops. That's fantastic for sniping those really goddamn annoying assassins and stuff like that. He can do it while he's doing actions. He can do it if his unit's advanced. He can do it while he's in close combat. He's also got a flat 3 damage weapon with 5 attacks, so he's really swingy at strength 9 in close combat, so he smacks really hard, and his other ability gives him and his unit -1 to be hit in close combat, which can stack with the Contagion, meaning that for 0 effort, Typhus' squad can be -2 to be hit in close combat, which can just shut down some armies brutally. And this guy is 100 points. What?
Yeah, he's just and you can still action with Typhus when he does his psychic thing because it's not a shooting attack or anything, so he can come in, he can set up your homers, and he can just blast some guy with mortal wounds. He has been like him and the Biologus Putrefires tag teaming in Karns with grenades makes, I think, Deathguard one of the best things at killing stuff that's like half damage and everything. It's just a ton of mortal wounds into a target we can dump on demand. We can have a 4 grenade turn plus Typhus, so that is what is it? That's 4 d6 plus another d6 mortals. It's just so much damage, right, that we can throw out on something.
And it just comes out of nowhere because people just don't expect it. And even like you can run him even solo if you wanted to, because again, single base, hard to kill, drop in, do an action while putting out some mortals and something. Again, if Poxwalkers were more playable at the moment, he's really good with them. Regenerating models is fantastic. They also give him 20 extra wounds, basically. Yeah, Austin saying his last game, Typhus did 22 mortal wounds for him. Yeah, people saying it's about time. Typhus in 8th and 9th was a bit too expensive. 100 is auto take. Yeah, Rocky saying Typhus is the GOAT. That is very true. He is 100% the GOAT. There is no reason not to take Typhus. 100 points for all the things he does is probably the closest thing we have to busted. I think it's daft. Don, stop being contrarian.
That's his sort of thing, I've gathered, right? He likes to take. I'm not surprised he's like trying to convince us that.
So 65-point Plague Surgeon is fine.
Yeah.
100-point Typhus is overrated.
I'm not surprised he's gonna go. Oh, I'll take the Winged Demon Prince. And I'll take the Bong now to my next event, and I'll show you all.
That's probably something Dom would do as well, though. He'd probably go and take this, like, go smash an RTT with Plague Bong, Demon Prince's Plague Surgeons, and make me look like a right twat. But
yeah, no, he's every game I play with him, I just deep strike him, and he comes in typically, and yeah, he'll do like homers in the backfield because it's so hard to screen out a 40 mil base as well. Like, he is just an asset to your fixed secondaries. He kind of does what the Terminator Sorcerer does, but he's just much more. The fact that he can do that while still doing an action, is really, really valuable. And an army that kind of struggles with mobility on the table, being able to get like a multi-use out of one unit is excellent.
But I mean, also, I'll never stop smiling when he snipes Calidus assassins over and over because I hate that model so much. So whenever Typhus manages to snipe an assassin, it's a good day for me, and I'm just leaving the table smiling regardless after that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, this guy's my Incarn killer with the Biologus. Like my last game at LGT, my opponent sent his Incarn in, Typhus came down, Biologus has lined their grenades up, and my opponent was shocked that the Incarn just evaporated that in that shooting phase.
Yeah,
I was just like, yep,
it's scary what you can actually do.
it's just so much damage. And he's going to get nerfed. He's going to go up in points.
No.
Play him now before he gets nerfed.
Yeah, he probably will, to be fair. So, before we wrap this up, let's do a little bit of rearranging. I think I'm quite happy with the top two. I think it's just nice and pungent. I kind of want to mix around a bit. Personally, I'm of the mindset that I would rather have a Predator than a Blight Hauler in general, because I can get unless you're going Demon Engine skew, but again, that's not my style. I don't play that. I play that list very badly. Poxwalkers right now probably still worse than the Blight Halls and whatnot. Defilers for us are literally unplayable. Again, Mephitic Blight Halls are playable on every terrain. Defilers are not. So Defilers have to go below them, in my opinion. Probably again below Poxwalkers, I reckon.
Yeah, I would move the Tallyman down into Moldy Sock tier. I think.
Yeah.
Are we dropping guys tiers maybe?
Yeah,
I would
see
drop
that because
Tallyman to Moldy Sock.
yeah, I can see that. Again, Tallyman can be fixed by just being better at CP management, playing tactical. There's other things, and if people are like, oh yeah, but I use him to screen home, for the same point, you can get 10 cultists that can screen home for you as well. Like, yeah, he's Moldy Sock tier for me. I'd probably agree on that one. Lord of Contagion, I probably would put him below Predator, because the thing is, the Lord of Contagion, his best use is with Blightlords, which I don't think are bad, but that's his only use. Whereas like Predator, you can just bring in Predator, just does Predator things.
Yeah,
Blight
I
Hauler
agree.
just Blight Hauler things. He doesn't need something else to have a purpose. So I'd probably put him below them. I'd still probably take him at the moment over Poxwalkers just because of how toxic the meta is. For Horde units like that. So yeah, I'd probably put that.
I'd maybe move the Hellbrute above the Blightlords. The only other one I think.
You reckon?
Yeah, I like the Blightlords. I don't think they're bad. Like again, it's all very kind of fine margins, right? But I think the Hellbrute has a kind of real niche it can fill in terms of applying a contagion at range, whereas the Blightlords are kind of falling into the same spot that the Death Shroud already are, kind of occupying. So
Yeah.
I see the Hellbrute as being just that little bit more appealing than the Blightlords.
That's fair. Like we said, everything up here is completely playable. Like, it's all really good. Don saying, not to be contrarian, I do like bloat drones and halls over Typhus. That's fair, mate. You are the Demon Engine Master. Again, I'm very bad at, and Pearce is the same. Pearce is much more infantry-based player, aren't you, buddy?
Yeah. And on WTC, I wouldn't play the Demon Engine list in the slightest. I think it just, like, you just get boxed in and you get 20-0'd by other teams.
Yeah, and it's same here. I'm just really bad at moving vehicles. Is what I've been learning. I'm really bad at it. But again, if you're used to that, obviously you are the Demon Engine man himself. You're the originator of the 10. You're the reason we have the rule of 3, because you used to run like 12 Plague Burst crawls because you're a monster.
I've seen that photo.
It's such a good
also,
photo.
player place terrain makes a big difference for a
Yes.
Demon Engine heavy build. If you're playing in an environment with a lot of player place terrain, vehicles do get a lot better because you can dictate their fire lanes and their movement. On UKTC and WTC, you just get boxed in. Like, Morty's already competing for the same sort of space. Rhinos are competing for the space these vehicles want to live in.
Yeah. Forba, what is the Incarn? Incarn it's an Eldar model, and basically it's a pain in the ass because whenever a unit is killed, that model can teleport to where that unit died. So what it means is, and it's a big scary monster that hits really hard in melee, so they could have like a fire prism, which is their long-range anti-tank, could blow up something in your backfield, even if it's crap, like 10 cultists. The Incarn can then teleport to them cultists, and then potentially then get into your backlines and charge your Plague Burst crawls and stuff. It's a very meta unit at the moment for Eldar players. It's probably one of the most broken things they've got. It's kind of busted, it's kind of stupid, but I mean, it's Eldar, what isn't?
Yes. Sure.
Yeah, Don's rating the Tallyman below the Plague Bong. I wouldn't. I mean, I've never considered putting a Tallyman in my list. I'll give it that. Genuinely, I've
Yeah,
never.
So I rate the Tallyman purely because I can see an argument for him in like if you really want CP for a fixed secondary build. Like I strongly considered including this guy, and that alone to me, like I've never considered running the Bong. I've considered running the Tallyman.
Yeah.
That alone puts him, I think, a tier slightly above those bottom three.
Yeah, but Bob again agreeing with Donnie. He thinks Demon Engine is better than Typhus. Again, fair. And I love this. I love this is what's cool because these are all top Death Guard players, and I love the fact that this faction right now has multiple ways to play it. Demon Engine focused, infantry focused, MSU toolbox focused, Horde, Swarm, Rhino Rush, all these things. Like that's the sign of a genuinely healthy faction. Like you have multiple ways to play and do well. So I'm not upset by the fact these guys think their opinions on Demon Engines, despite the fact my opinion is subjectively and objectively correct and theirs is wrong. I jest. I'm joking. But it's just a good sign where the faction's at the moment that all these things are viable. So yeah, no, totally respect that. But yeah, I'm fairly happy with that then at the end of it. I'm probably put the Malignant Playcaster down. I've considered the other two. I've considered them things more because again, I have flamers everywhere that can like Foul Blightspawn does him better.
Yeah, that's fair. I'd maybe move then Plague Bastard to the bottom of like near the end of Nice and Pungent.
Yeah. Would you
Like
take a crab?
I don't want to give Bob like a heart attack. I think we've been very harsh on his baby this evening, and I think we have to, we might be we might get the video flagged for abuse, right? Like, we're attacking his child too much this evening.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Chaos Lord again. I'm probably gonna move this down because it's only because my 4-up swinginess is. I don't like swinginess in competitive lists, although he's actually a bit better because he can join Plague Marines and give him rerolls to wound, and you can do the banner shenanigans. So okay, you know what? I'll put him next to Lord of Contagion. I think he goes in like a weird unit and can do niche things.
Yeah, he's kind of flashy, right? Like, but he's not something I think you consistently want to rely upon in a tournament.
Like you're gonna have that game where you just roll every single 4-up, and everyone's like, "That's fucking broken, mate," and you're like, "Nah, it's not that bad."
Yeah. You'll have that game where he absolutely goes off, and you'll like swear his praises then for the next 3 months until he betrays you, disappoints you again.
Yeah, exactly. Again, Bob in chat again saying Death Guard are in a good spot because we're arguing about what's good and not what's bad. Like we're just arguing about like what we think is good because everything has a place, which is really.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we're kind of sitting, I think, in the upper mid pack, right? Like kind of as factions. Where I think we're around like a 48% win rate on like stat check. But I think in the hands of a good player, you can really push the upper middle pack. You still have a really hard time into the real top dogs. But like, look at the tier list we've got here. Most of the units we think are playable in some way.
The ones at the bottom we have a Fortification, which let's be honest shouldn't really be on a tier list because they're illegal in most games anyway. 2 of them are just variants of a Daemon Prince, which again. Okay, so that's technically 1 unit, just does it have wings or not. Chaos Lord and Terminators is just a variant of one up there, but we just find him not as useful as the other one. So really, it's only like 4 units that we'd consider like bad choices. And we can see the argument for Tallyman. If you're really desperate for CP and you really want it and you rely on your CP a lot, you could probably put him like at the end of Nice and Pungent, but I just want to have some more moldy socks because I just like moldy socks, I guess.
But yeah. It also makes our tier list look more official, right? If it's a bit of a curve going. I mean, we got a bit of a stacked curve at the front, but it's fine.
That's true, yeah. Austin, I did get a new microphone, but it's not from me. It's from my lovely members and my supporters. So I got a proper microphone now. Again, I use any of the money I'm making from the memberships and the subscribers and the ads and whatnot. I'm putting back into the channel. So first a new microphone to fix the audio qualities and make it nicer. And then it'll be like a second screen, and then hopefully like a new webcam sort of to increase the video quality. Anything we can do to sort of make the experience better for the viewers. So really, don't say congrats to me. I mean, yeah, it's congrats to me, I suppose, but it's mainly thanks to you guys. So thank you very much for the support. Yes, Rocky, we did say before, you actually can use the Chaos Lord's ability with the Icon Bearer, which is quite interesting, because combined with Morty and Living Plague, you can get it to like an 18-inch aura off the Chaos Lord, which is quite funny. Might be worth looking at. It's kind of funny. Is anything Eldar tier though? No. Eldar's just kind of like stupid. I wouldn't want to be Eldar tier though, and I'm sure Pearce is probably the same.
Yeah, I think there's a certain lack of enjoyment I think I would get playing from Eldar, because when you win, people go, "Oh, well, it's just Eldar. You're playing Eldar," and also the pressure and expectation that you win. It kind of colors the perception when you go into a game. Your opponent is sort of like, "Oh, I have to beat this Eldar," or this bullshit. They don't really enjoy the game as much. Like, I think Death Guard can beat Eldar. It's a hard game. It's an uphill matchup for us, but we absolutely can beat Eldar. In my practice games with the Plague Marines, I've 3 games into Eldar. I've got 2 wins and 1 loss, and the loss was by 3 points. And these were all against like very accomplished Eldari players. Some of them have won GTs and whatnot. So with the right play and a little bit of luck, whether that's cards or dice, we absolutely have play into Eldari. So they may be on top, but we are in their shadow.
Yeah, I agree. I think as Bob's asked, what do you think matchup is the worst for Death Guard at the moment? What do you think?
I think Votan.
You reckon Votan?
In all my practice games, that has been my biggest loss so far.
Okay, I've not actually played
Votan or
versus them,
Tau
so.
are
I was
really
going to say
tricky.
Tau.
Votan,
I was going to say Tau.
yeah, Tau punish us really hard, but there's if you have like 3 PBCs, you hit their crisis and you take like bring it down as a fixed secondary, you can max that very quickly. But Votan have so many units that it's just they flood the board.
Yeah.
They kind of do what you're doing, but their shooting is really scary, especially the Bricks of Hearthguard. They have a lot of firepower.
That's fair. So we got a fella saying, if we move the Playcaster and the Poxwalkers down a tier, that means all top 3 tiers have 7 choices. Ooh. Oh, do we do it?
Okay, we're gonna have to make some hard decisions here. Let's okay, who can really disappear from Nice and Pungent? Who's going to Moldy Sock territory?
Oh man, you don't need the Playcaster. I don't.
Drop him down. Let's go, Aiden. Let's cut him. He's on the edge. He's on the edge.
So then it's between do we cut Bob's crab or do we cut the Pox?
No, we won't do that to Bob.
No, we won't do that to Bob. Poxwalkers, again, it's not their fault. It's the meta. It's the meta.
Yeah. Banish them.
There you go. I hope you're happy. We've made it law friendly. Would you say Death Guard are in the same spot they were in 9th? Solid mid tier, the possibility to punch up 100%. I think we're in a fantastic spot right now. We're in mid tier, but if you're a good player and you play right, I think you can punch into the upper mid tier, which is where you want to be as a faction. That's a really good spot to be. You're not oppressive, you're not broken, you have counterplay, but you have strengths that you can play to as well. And that's how every faction should be. So I'm really happy with that. Bob's asking, what do you think of Chaos Knights versus Death Guard matchup? I think it's fine. I think you can deal with it. I had it round 5 at LGT, didn't have a problem with that one. Did get a bit of lucky on my lethal hits, but I think when you start bringing like I think your Rhino Plague Marines doesn't struggle with that at all, because again they can't toll and just take you off points, and if someone else come and tussle like a carnivore, you just have fight first and you just kill it.
Yeah, I've played it quite a few times now. I've not lost it yet. It's been a pretty straightforward matchup. The only time it gets a bit hairy is on the 6 objective mission. I found that a little bit annoying to play against them, because they can spread out the board a little bit more and you kind of get stretched a bit thin. But every other time I have found it very straightforward to play into and beat the Chaos Knights. Bring it down, you take homers, and I'll usually max both of those and score somewhere in the 90s.
Yeah. Peter's saying if we move the Surgeon up, we make another 7. No.
Yeah. Nice try,
Nice try, guy.
Yeah.
I see you wearing your Don Houston t-shirt. Yeah. Okay. So I'm probably gonna start wrapping up now, because I've had you on for a long time, Pierce. So thank you very much for sticking with us on that one. Sorry it's been quite long, buddy. But it's been funny.
No, it's been a pleasure, man. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for sort of tuning in for the tier list. Again, don't take it mega seriously. It was just for a fun stream. There is more content coming out this week. For those who don't know, again, I'm just going to rehash all the stuff I said before. We now have a Discord for the channel, for members, for YouTube members. So if you want to join and become a YouTube member, it's just below the video. It's $3 a month. So trying to keep it fairly cheap. It supports me, supports the channel, allows me to get stuff like this beautiful new microphone. And then you get access to the Discord. You also get access to voting for upcoming content on the Perfect Plague series. We're hoping to maybe even get some stuff like merch out soon, which would be quite cool. I feel a bit weird selling merch, because I feel like I don't want to feel like I'm being like a big-headed like ass. and being like, oh, I wear a t-shirt with my face on, but people keep asking for stuff like dice and shirts and stuff, so I will concede to you if that's something you guys do want. We can work on it. We have actually have a test printed shirt, which I will post in the community tab, so you can have a look at. But yeah, we've got, like I said, on the Discord, we're having hobby hangout sessions, so you can just chill with myself. Even, Natalie might even join us. I'm gonna, sell the fact that there is a girl here, so $3 you can talk to a girl. But yeah, this Irish guy seems to really know his stuff. I bet he's handsome too. Apparently he likes buckets as well, Peter.
Yeah, dashingly handsome. So, but I won't show my face quite yet. The world is not ready for that. We don't want to get taken down for R-rated nudity.
Yeah, we've already had ASMR session. We definitely don't need more sexiness on this channel. Can I get an anti-defiler shirt? We can definitely consider it. So yeah, at the moment, Eldar is winning the vote for a Perfect Plague 4. So if you don't want Eldar to win the vote for Perfect Plague 4, feel free to become a member. Get in there, get your vote in, and take off them, because I don't want to do an episode on Eldar either, as much as you don't want to hear it. And yeah, but honestly, thank you so much for watching. Supports has been insane. Even just only $3, that's less than my mum charges me to talk to her. Oof, it's not even £3, mate, it's $3. It's even cheaper. But even just tuning in without being a member, just putting a like on a video, hitting the subscribe button, massively appreciate it. I understand this stream was a bit more silly, a bit more light-hearted. I hope you just managed to have a bit of a laugh of it, managed to get a couple chuckles out of you, and you managed to engage in the chat. I love engaging with people. I love having guests on like Pearce. Thank you very much for coming on, buddy. I will stop waffling now and actually say goodbye, because I take forever to do this. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening in, and we'll catch you on the next one. And thank you very much, Pearce. If you want to give any shout outs or anything like that, bud?
We call that the Irish goodbye, by the way, when you're leaving a party and you take about 20 minutes to say goodbye to everybody. So it's that feels right at home. You've made a very cultural, great experience for me. Thank you so much for having me. I hope you thank you for the questions from chat and everything. Thank you for listening to my deranged ramblings on Plague Marines. I just give a shout out to Tryhard Wargaming as well. It's the singles team I play out in for events. They have a really great Discord with TTS players. If you guys play on TTS. There's lots of really cool Nurgle communities. There's the Nurgle's Mansion and stuff as well. There's the Disgustingly Resilient one that Aiden set up. A lot of great resources if you want to learn about Death Guard play. We all have a weird obsession with this army. Yeah,
Nurgle's Mansion Discord. Obviously, you don't have to be a member of my YouTube channel to join that one. Definitely would advise you go and join that one as well. Don Houston now wants a tier list of our opponents' armies. Let's just sell out full tier list, all the content we're doing from now on. But yeah, again, I'm doing the Irish goodbye as you just said it. I'm going to start talking.
Yes, you are.
I'm going goodbye, everybody. Much love.